So we have a brand new anti-black dog whistle, anti-black buzzword, anti-black catchphrase that they've stolen, of course, because they're not original people. Black fatigue. So they're using black fatigue as a new anti-black buzzword to say how tired and fed up and fatigued they are. And when I say they, I mean white people of black culture. However, this catchphrase, this term, isn't really taking off the way they wanted to.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters, welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I'm your host, Afro Elite. Thank you all for being here this evening. We have much to discuss, my brothers and my sisters. Thank you all. Thank you all. We're talking about this new buzzword that they've come up with, because they always come up with stuff, or they don't really come up with the buzzwords. Let me correct myself. They steal a term and then they try to remix this term into something that is anti-black. Okay, so all of the terms that they steal, they always use these terms and they always say things like, oh, this is, they always remix it to being something anti-black or against white power and white dominance and white superiority. So whether that's back in the day, social justice warrior, the term woke, the term DEI, the term affirmative action, all of these slogans and terms and buzzwords that they've been using, now they're using the term black fatigue, something that they've stolen. Why they're using this is really because woke is kind of died down, because it's really gone everywhere, and because their buzzwords really don't land and can't really last that long, they have to create a new one. Now, this all started with this video of Shallow Hendrix, but before we play the video, you all know what we got to do. We got to play the copyright disclaimer to have everybody understand that everything is YouTube understand, and everything is protected under the guise of fair use. So we have to make that abundantly clear. Now, as we're doing that, before we really get started, because there's much to discuss this evening, much to discuss. Before we do that, what I would appreciate from you all is to hit that like button. All right, we want as many people in here as possible. So if you guys hit that like button, share, make sure you subscribe, all that, that would be great. Much appreciated. We'll be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So, black fatigue, they're really starting this off because this is all coming off the back of Shallow Hendrix. All right, we're gonna play the video one time real quick, and we're gonna go into, because we got to go to the beginning of how this new buzzword came about and the idea of it came about, and that's how we're gonna get to where it is now, and then how it's really not working out for him that well. So let's play this real quick. I'm sure we've all seen it by now, but we got to do a refresher.
The fuck you talking
Did you
about?
call the child?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him? Okay, why don't you have the boss to say it right now again?
Fuck you, sir.
Okay. Alright, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb fuck.
Nobody digging to you.
A little kid just did, you dumb ass.
A little kid, you call him?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Okay, so that we've seen that. Now, here's the thing. Here's the issue with that. The white supremacists like that stuff. They like when children get victimized. They just don't like it that broad. They don't like it that open, because they understand something, especially when it comes to foundational Black Americans, that's very, very important. All right. Now, victimizing any Black person is absolutely wrong. But there is a very unique and separate thing, when it comes to children. Victimizing somebody, harming somebody physically, emotionally, all of that stuff, that is absolutely wrong. But when you cross that line, when it comes to children, because children are sacred, when you cross that line, you get a very different type of energy. All right. And they understand that. So they don't want to come out and just say, oh, well, I mean, yeah, we're going to openly, unapologetically victimize your children. They understand the victimization of children sparks a response that they can't handle. The victimization of children, we can go back to Emmett Till. That was one of the things, because it wasn't the only thing, but that was one of the main things that just set off the spark that led to the civil rights movement. Now, we've had multiple civil rights movements in the past, but the thing with Emmett Till, that set off a very different, I'm not going to show the image, but the image of what they did to Emmett Till, that set off a very different type of energy than the civil rights movements prior to. All right. Even in more modern terms or modern times, the Black Lives Matter movement that we've seen, which is really just Black uprising, that a lot of them put this organization, the Black Lives Matter organization. When I say Black Lives Matter movement, I want it to be abundantly clear. I'm not speaking about the organized organization that was getting a bunch of donations. I'm speaking about the grassroots, who for the most part were completely not associated with any organization at all. All right. That really started, because there was some stuff building up before that. That started with the victimization of another Black child, and that was Trayvon Martin. All right. So when it comes to things happening to Black people get fed up and tired of it. But really, when it comes to things happening to children, do you see a very different type of energy? You see people willing to crash out. You see people willing to go to a whole nother level that you have not been able to, you haven't seen before. That's what you're seeing. So they don't really want to come out and say, well, yeah, it's open season on your children. Because if they say it's open season on your children, they know that that's going to spark a whole different type of energy, a whole different type of response that they can't handle. So what they have to do is they have to find some type of way of rationalizing and justifying, because they absolutely, as white supremacists, their kryptonite is accountability. All right. We have to know this. So what they've been trying to do is they can't defend it. They understand it's too blatant, especially for the fact that this was a child. It's too blatant for them to come out and defend this. They can't do it. They won't do it. They won't risk their safety. Foundation Black Americans are just not what they need to be for them to feel comfortable enough to do that. They don't feel comfortable enough to do that. So they want to allow it, but they don't want to openly admit that they allow it. All right. They don't want to admit that, because that will require a different response. So what they're doing, and I'm doing all of this to explain thoroughly what Black fatigue is. So what they're doing now is they're trying to say, well, I don't agree with it, but it's a big but you have to understand that white people are just so sick and tired of being mistreated, and we get to a boiling point and we get fed up. They're not trying to sit up there and completely agree with it, but they're trying to disagree very quickly and subtly, and then next thing you know, move the goalpost and move the conversation away from her being held accountable to now white people just generally being tired of the behavior of Black people. Now they're moving the conversation away from Shallow Hendricks. All right. This is to protect her and to give her some type of pass. So now the conversation is, well, what she did was wrong, but we have to understand, black people, you guys have been getting away with doing all of this for so long that it reaches a point where we're just tired. They're trying to not justify it openly, but rationalize it. Okay? They're not trying to say I condone it, but they're trying to say I understand. I don't agree, but I do understand why she did it. That's what they're doing, which is another way of condoning it. Okay? So this woman right here, her name is April. She took her videos down, but not before I got them. She took her videos down, and she's trying to sit up here and rationalize Shallow Hendrix.
5-year-old a racial slur. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Let's talk about Shiloh Hendrix, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this, because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs.
If you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs. Okay. Now, like I said, they're coming out and they're trying to say, I mean, I don't agree, but I understand. Okay, that's their thing. Here's something that's very dangerous. She said she's been working with 5-year-olds for 15 years. Can you imagine that white woman working with a bunch of kindergarten black kids? She's sitting up there trying to rationalize this blatantly unapologetic racist ass woman, okay, racially abusing a 5-year-old autistic child. And she says she's been working with 5-year-olds for 15 years. You know how much damage she could have caused? This is what we're talking about when it comes to having our children in the care of those type of people. This is why we don't allow that stuff to happen, or we shouldn't be allowing that stuff to happen. We should be trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. Can you imagine what type of abuse she excused, if not caused herself? I don't agree, but white people are so sick and tired of this. But white people are so sick and tired of this. She could have 15 years. I want you to imagine her as a kindergarten teacher for 15 years. What type of abuse of black children that's gone on under her supervision. Okay. It would make you mad to really just try to think about that, to wrap your head around that. Now, I want to say it's something else. Right? The whole white people get called racial slurs every day. Where do white people get called? First off, name the racial slur that you guys get so offended by and you guys are called on the daily basis, on the regular basis. And then who is saying this? Who is saying these things to you? They be all like, oh, every day I go down the street and I just try to walk my dog and get a little exercise, and someone yells out the window, you cracker. I'm like, oh my God, I'm terrible. Where does that happen? It doesn't happen. They never show any proof of this reverse racism that they claim happens to white people on a daily basis. There's never any proof of that because it doesn't exist. It does not exist. All right. You all live in this system that pedestalizes white people. You do. America has always been that way. It's that way today. And we're going to show you some of the proof of that this evening. We are going to show you the proof this evening. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. All right. And hit that like button if you don't mind. Y'all make sure y'all do that. So she's saying this, well, I don't agree, but. So she's trying to find some type of way of rationalizing it and saying black fatigue. Now, let me show you this. Black fatigue is a stolen term. Black fatigue was a book originally It was a term from a book originally about how black people are tired, really psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, about systematic racism, of white supremacy, how white supremacy drains black people, and how draining it is as a black person to deal with white supremacy on a regular basis. But they've stolen it, just like they stole the term woke. They've stolen it, and now they're trying to flip it and reverse it. That's what they're trying to do, just like they did with the term woke. Now, she was getting a lot of pushback, and she had a response, and she made another response video to what she said. Let's listen to that.
For the rest of her life. She'll be.
Now, the comment up here says she'll be watching her back for the rest of her life. And that was about Shiloh Hendrix, okay?
Watching her back for the rest of her life. Yeah, because that's not thuggery, hoodrattery, animalistic. This is why people have black fatigue. When you act like this, it's not normal behavior. People do stupid stuff. People say stupid stuff. That's life. It's not normal to threaten to unalive people because you don't like what they're doing. We're getting sick and tired of opening up TikTok and seeing brawls on cruise ships, brawls in the airport, like literally the most ghetto behavior. We're tired. We're tired of it. But then whining and complaining and acting like it's not your fault that you act that way. Yeah, we're kind of over it.
Okay. This is coming from a woman. I just want you to keep this in mind. This is coming from a woman who has taught children, according to her, who has taught children for 15 years. Just keep this in mind. She used the term animalistic. It is animalistic. And then notice every time they're talking about it, they don't condemn it. They just openly say that they don't condone it, but they always try to belittle what Shiloh Hendrix did. Oh, well, people say things that we don't like, and people do stupid things and say stupid things. Oh, that's silly, and oh my God, so goofy or whatever. She abused the child. She racially abused this child. Thank God that she was out in public so she wouldn't physically harm this child, but she racially abused a 5-year-old autistic child. It's more than just saying something stupid. All right? And this is coming from somebody who's taught children for 15 years. Just keep this in mind. So they're using this term black fatigue. Oh, white people are so sick of that. And now they're saying like, okay, this is our new buzzword. This is really our new buzzword, because they know they can't continuously use DEI. They can't continuously use affirmative action. They can't use woke. Nobody even really knows, especially at this point, what woke is. So now, oh, black fatigue. And why they're doing this is because they feel like, okay, this is a way of excusing all open racism. This is a way of excusing all open racism. So if you see a video going viral of a white supremacist going on a racist rant or doing something racist to a black person, they can now say, well, I mean, I don't agree, but I understand. This is their way. Black fatigue is now their way of victim blaming. All right. So now every time a black person, whether that's a child who's 5 years old and autistic, every time a black person does anything, now they get to victim blame and say, well, it's really a cultural thing. Now they get to victim blame and say, well, I don't agree, but you have to understand white people are just so tired of black people doing all of this stuff, and there's just no accountability. And it reaches a point where they're fed up. So it excuses the racist anti-black behavior of the perpetrator, and it puts the blame back on the victim. All right. So it's a way of denigrating black people, black culture as a collective, and it's a way of excusing racist rants and behaviors, and it's also a way of them putting themselves on this moral pedestal, all right, as if they don't do anything wrong, as if their culture has just been so patient and so tolerant of this degenerate, quote unquote, behavior from black people. That's what they're trying to say. Oh, well, I mean, we've just been just victims and we have to see it, and we just don't behave this way. We're just so civilized and sophisticated and dignified and peaceful, and it's just too much. My white blue eyes can't see all of this black fighting and ghetto and all that stuff. Oh my goodness. I'm sick of scrolling through TikTok every day and seeing a fight on a cruise ship. I don't know, because TikTok is based off your algorithm. So if you're seeing fights on a cruise ship and street fights every single day, that's probably because you're looking that up. Because I don't see that. It's so interesting. They be talking about these videos that they see every single day, yet it's the white supremacists. It's mainly the white supremacists who be posting and reposting and circulating those videos that they claim they hate to see every day. Yet when there's a street fight of black people, it's a bunch of the alt-right white supremacists, white nationalists constantly reposting that and retweeting that. It's very interesting, right? You find all of that stuff on their page, even though they just hate to see it. Their sophisticated eyes, their sophisticated blue eyes are just so sick of all of this degeneracy. That's what they say, right? That's what they say. Okay. But of course, now you gonna have the damn Sambos, the Massa lovers, the Coons, all of that sitting up there agreeing with this nonsense. Being all like, I'm so sick of black people too. I'm sick of myself. I'm sick of all of this. I'm so sick of it. Okay, let's look at this, y'all.
This video might make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be made. Black fatigue. This video might make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be made. There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that, because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But the interesting part is, the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our skin dictates the content of our character. That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white, when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole. And that's why there's individuals who are black who do and can have black fatigue, because they see how damaging it is to see the worst of us attract all this negative attention that then unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often. But what's unfortunate is here in 2025, now we have to contend with the fact that there's people who are so sick and tired of seeing those negative aspects, those negative individuals in the black community attracting all this attention. That's what is spurring this black fatigue. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. And until we turn inward and address the issues in our own communities, I fear that this is only going to continue and get worse. And that's exactly what the powers that be want. They want to have us against each other instead of us against those who are really pulling the strings in the background.
Oh boy. Okay. Listen, y'all. First of all, when they say, well, in 2025, we are being judged by the color of our skin and not the content of our character. When have we ever been judged by the content of our character and not the color of our skin? They're trying to make it seem like racism is like a new thing, or racism is kind of resurfacing. When has racism ever not been present in this country? Ever? Like, give me one time, 1 year. Give me 1 year where racism was just not present whatsoever in this country. Then he talks about things like, well, if you speak properly and everything like that, a lot of the black people will tell you that you're not speaking in the proper manner, and they'll tell you, like, if you speak articulately, then you're talking white, and that's just not the way you know. It's no. Listen, I've always, ever since I was a kid, and anybody who knows me for a long time before I was on YouTube or anything like that, they can tell you, I've always tried to use bigger words in my lexicon and had I would say an above average vocabulary for my age range or whatever. And I'll speak like that on a regular basis, just on a regular basis. A lot of the people, anybody who's spoken to me outside of YouTube or whatever, they say I sound the same. The words I use on YouTube, I use just in normal, regular conversation. This is just my everyday lexicon. I'm not like, I don't like put on a show or a character for YouTube. This is just you gonna get this type of energy from me day in and day out, right? I've heard jokes from other black people. Oh, you sound like that's you're talking white. You sound like you're white and all that stuff. I've heard that. Okay. To me, and I'm speaking for myself, it's never bothered me because I always knew it was a joke. I always knew that. I always knew, first off, I didn't hear it by everybody, from everybody. Most of the time, I was complimented on it. Most of the time, anybody said anything, it was in a flattering way. Most of the time, I was complimented on it. And then the other times, some people joked about it. And that's something in our community that we do all the time. We'll tell jokes. If you sound super educated and super sophisticated, oh, you are smarty pants, you this, you that. If you sound dumb, folks are gonna say you sound dumb. Black people will make jokes. I have never felt, and I'm speaking for myself personally, I have never felt othered or ostracized or left out, or I've never felt that from other black people because I quote unquote speak well. I've never felt like black people don't want to be around me because I use bigger words than they do. I've never felt unwelcomed from other black people because I got a good vocabulary. And we don't do that. Even if they do make a joke about you, it's never like, oh, you just too smart to hang around other black people. We have never done that, okay? And I'm not talking about just from other educated black people who are very academically inclined, or black people who've got college degrees. I'm talking about from the well-off black folk in the suburbs, and then I'm talking about from the damn hood, from the projects, or whatever the case is. They never like, I don't want to hang around him, he just sounds too smart. That ain't never ever been the case. Now, there are times that let's just be honest with you. There are times when black people might say that, not just because you have a good lexicon, not just because you have a pretty decent or advanced vocabulary. It's because you have other, follow me, y'all, you have other characteristics and behavior patterns that you do that other black people see that mimic what you think white people act like. That's when black people see like, oh no, you have different behavior patterns and you have different styles and things like that about you that lets us know that you're trying to mimic something outside of the culture, like a Carlton Banks type. It's not just your vocabulary, it's your entire demeanor around from yourself and then around other black people. It's this kind of like uppity attitude that you have towards black people exclusively. You don't have this with everybody else. It's this, even the way you speak, because you can speak in a very solid vocabulary. You can speak in a very, very good vocabulary, right? And then there's a way you can pronounce your words. And when certain people, follow me with this, when certain people speak in a way, whether it's high vocabulary, advanced vocabulary or not, there are certain ways white people pronounce words, okay? When we see that, we're all like, okay, why are you saying it like that? And I'm not saying the word ass versus ask. I'm saying you're deliberately trying to mimic the voice of what you think white people sound like. So instead of just using advanced vocabulary on your regular day, and every single day you're using advanced vocabulary to sound as intelligent as possible, you're not really using advanced vocabulary. You're just really sounding white. You're just really, hey guys, how are you all doing today? You know, it's a lovely day outside, and you know, it's absolutely fantastic. I just, you know, love the advanced vocabulary that I've had and I've been picking up when I go to the library. I have walked all the way to the library. I had opened the door and I had grabbed the bottle of water, and you know, it's a way, and then oh no, you are trying to sound white. That we get that. Oh, you're saying I'm trying to sound white because I'm more sophisticated? Is it because I know how to speak and I know how to read and I know how to write and I know mathematics? Is that why you guys are saying that I am acting like a Caucasian? Because that is not the truth. I have just dedicated myself to the betterment and the empowerment of myself. And just because I don't act like a hoodlum like you all do does not mean that I am trying to mimic what a Caucasian would act like. Shame on you, man. Okay. Yeah, you're acting white. You have this nasally way about you, and more than just how you speak, it's the entire demeanor in and of itself. That's why if black people ostracize other black people for quote unquote acting white, it's because of that. It's not because of no vocabulary. All right. Let me get to the super chat real quick. Shout out to Alana. Thank you very much. She says Jason Black and Professor Black Truth are both articulate. Very. If the vocabulary like through the roof, okay? There's a lot of times they be saying words I've never even heard of. I gotta look that stuff up. All right. Nobody accuses them of talking white. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. Sometimes when they say it, there's been times when I first started listening to Jason Black, he say, look it up. I would literally have to. I'm like, I've never heard of that word. What's that word mean? I've like words that he just does not know. Like, I do not know. I've never heard these words before, but he would say it and I would have to look it up. But I don't think he's acting white or sounding white. No, you know what I'm saying? So no, it's not that. It's a behavior thing. The hell, black people don't want to mess with me because I'm not a hoodlum, ghetto, ratchet, black like you Negroes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. No, it's not because of that. It's because when you go to the Thanksgiving dinner, you are like, oh, are we having pumpkin pie? Oh, can we have some pumpkin pie, please? Oh my goodness, pumpkin pie. I thank you so very much. I love it. I love it to death. You know, black people, Lord have mercy. Lord, those are the black people who love, like, those are the black people who just don't mix with you would think they're raised by white people and they're not. Okay. Those are the black people, they go to the barbecue and everything like that. And they're all like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to have a delicious hot dog. Those are black people. You can tell, and I'm not no hot dog hater. I'm really not, okay? But you can really tell when black people love hot dogs. You can tell when they go to a barbecue, that's the only thing they want to eat. You know what I'm saying? And they don't, because you can hook up a hot dog. You know, you get a little bit of that burnt on it, a little bit. You know, they give it that extra kind of like smoky flavor to it. It is good. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna hold you. It is good. Those are the people who they like the hot dogs, how the hot dogs look on the package, not the way black people hook it up. They like it how they look on the package. Okay, listen. Those are the black people who they don't call it a hot. They call it like a glizzy or a wiener or something. They call that stuff like wieners. Those are the black people who like that stuff. Come on now, y'all know I'm not lying. Those are the black. Oh my goodness. Does anybody have some ketchup? Oh my God, I am about to. And then they'll just say some weird. I am about to feast on these hot dogs. You guys. You guys, anybody have any Diet Coke to wash this down? I'm a little parched right here. Anybody have any sugar-free lemonade? Like that's come on, we know that. Okay, we know that. That's what he reminds me of. So this is the type of behavior that we're talking about. When you're going above and beyond to mimic what you think white people act like that. And then if you're around white people, you understand that white people are not nearly as sophisticated, not nearly as smart as we see a bunch of these Sambo massa lovers trying to make them out to be. Not nearly. But you, of course, you have other Sambos out here. You know, they're using this black fatigue term and they're using that to make content. So we got other Sambos.
Is real. Black fatigue is real. Everybody is tired of black people, but it's two specific types of black people that everyone is tired of. Number one, everybody is tired of loud, ghetto, and ratchet, and violent, and mean, and angry all the time. Everybody is tired of them. Nobody wants to deal with them. Even other black people do not want to deal with these people. You know when you see them in public, you know when they're gonna give you attitude at the CVS. Everybody knows it and they want to avoid it. The second group of black people that everybody is tired of is this sort of like fake black bougie intelligentsia who kind of like walks around telling everybody how they're supposed to think or speak or act when it comes to anything black. These are the most privileged black people in the world. These people have built enormous platforms and have so much money, and yet they are still perpetual victims all the time. And all they ever do is lecture white people about how to talk to or about black people, and then they lecture other black people if they don't talk or think or speak in ways in which they approve. Black fatigue is real. Everybody is so tired of both of these groups of black people that they don't know what to do. So yeah, black fatigue is real, and I got it.
If that is not the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is. I really don't. I don't honestly know what is. He's talking about black people or black fatigue is being tired of black people who lecture other people all the time. That is what his whole platform is. His whole entire platform, his name to fame, his whole thing is talking about black people negatively, dissing black people, telling us how we need to do better, telling us how our culture is trash, telling us how dumb we are, telling us all of these negative things consistently. That's all he does. When he says black people who preach all the time, no, what he was trying to really say without trying to say it openly is black people who use their platforms to speak out and call out and report on racism. Now, it's completely fine when you have your entire platform dedicated to denigrating black people and black culture, to justifying racism, to rationalizing black people being harmed by white supremacists. That is completely fine. But yet, let a black person make a profile or make an account and try to call out racism, call out white supremacy, call out Sambos, coons, tethers, all that stuff. Oh, nobody wants you to preach all the time and preach all the time and preach all the time. Oh, yeah, black fatigue. Okay. So, of course, they're taking this and they're running with it. Let me get to the super chats before we continue. Shout out to McCoy23. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Shariah says, we have high discernment. We do. And that's very true. We've had to do that culturally. We have to know who should be in and who should be out. So culturally, we kind of have that just instinctively. And we have to develop that. So thank you very much for that. And then the Freedmen's Network says 3 bean casserole and Rice Krispie treats. Yeah, stuff like that. When you see a black person like overly indulging and stuff like that, that's really the reason and stuff. That's really the reason. And really, is it really hot dogs or Polishes? It's really Polishes, right? Yeah, because I know Chicago. I'm thinking of Chicago Polishes, and I said hot dogs, but it's really the Polishes. The Chicago Polishes do be good. If y'all not from Chicago, y'all wouldn't know. But but they're not hot dogs. I just thought of that. Polish isn't hot dogs, not the same thing. Regardless, let's get back to it, okay? Y'all gonna get me distracted on food. We got more Sambos, we got more stuff who are now using this like, oh my God, I'm so sick of black culture, black this, black that. So none other than Jason Whitlock. He makes a video, and Jason Whitlock makes a video because Jason Whitlock is not going to miss an opportunity to talk negatively on other black people or black culture. So here Jason Whitlock goes.
Black fatigue. If you have not heard the term, if you're not on X, formerly known as Twitter, you may be unaware that this conversation is going on. But if you're on social media and if you understand the impact of X/Twitter, and that like the Black Lives Matter movement started on Twitter, and now there's a response movement being started on Twitter, and it's called Black Fatigue. And it is the antithesis. It is the yin to the yang of Black Lives Matter. It's white people loudly, boldly expressing their fatigue with black people. This is and was inevitable. And that's why I spent so much time during the whole Black Lives Matter psyop, about a decade, saying like, this is crazy. Black Lives Matters is going to create a boomerang effect. It's going to harden hearts. You're not going to host a decade-long discussion on social media and in mainstream media about how awful white people are and what victims we are. And oh my God, once every 3 or 4 months, there's a controversial police-involved shooting with a resisting career criminal. That was inevitably going to spark a backlash. And now the backlash is here, and it's called Black Fatigue. Punch that into Twitter and see what comes up. There are social...
I just want to pause and then ask this question. He says, oh yeah, there's, black people are always defending a resisting career criminal. Okay. Can I ask you guys this question? Was Tamir Rice a resisting career criminal? Did he have this long rap sheet? And was Tamir Rice, this 12-year-old black boy who was gunned down by the police, was he a menace to society? Was Breonna Taylor a menace to society with a super long rap sheet? Okay. Was Tatiana Jefferson a career criminal? Or Philando Castile? Were these career criminals that were killed by the police, gunned down by the police? Because every time they say that, they be all like, oh, well, it's people who, when they talk about career criminals, they're pretty much saying, well, even though the police abused their power that they took an oath not to do, the black people kind of deserved it anyway. Okay, Tamir Rice deserved it. Breonna Taylor deserved it. Philando Castile deserved it. Tatiana Jefferson deserved it. All these, they all deserved it, right? Okay.
And now the backlash is here, and it's called Black Fatigue. Punch that into Twitter and see what comes up. There are social media accounts dedicated to showing videos of black people behaving dysfunctionally, violently, inappropriately, not just in Spirit Airlines, Frontier Airlines, not just on Carnival cruises, but damn it, if you let them on Royal Caribbean, the same thing will happen there. You let them inside a Wendy's, the same thing will happen there. There's an endless parade of these videos, and they're all about black fatigue. Like, I'm tired of black folks. Black folks have raised their hand and volunteered to be the enemies of white people and to be the people that we want to cast white.
We have raised our hands and volunteered to be the enemies of white people. Because don't you understand how black people and white people have just been living just so peacefully And black people and white people have been just living in this bliss of racial utopia. We've been just living in this racially united paradise in this race blind society. And white people have been getting along perfectly with black people and have not done anything wrong whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, black people just flipped on white people and just started doing things to bother white people. Okay, so that's what we've been doing. Okay, so let the narrative go. That's what's happening.
People is the worst thing on the planet. And eventually, people's patience has worn out and was going to wear out. It was inevitable.
Okay. So, black fatigue. White people are tired of black people. Okay. It's interesting to me that we can live in a society where we have people who go into churches just to kill black people with no intention on doing anything but killing as many black people as possible. Or they can go into grocery stores with the intention, and I'm not talking about one case, I'm talking about multiple cases, with the intention of doing absolutely nothing but killing as many black people as possible. But yet the race war that they keep trying to claim is brewing up is because of black people attacking white people. They can't name a single black version of Dylan Roof where we go into a white store or a church and be all like, as many white people I see, I'm just gonna get them all. They can't name that. That happens to us where they come into our neighborhoods and attack us, but yet white people have just been so patient and tolerant of black people, and we've made it a point to collectively say they are our enemy out of nowhere for no reason. And Black Lives Matter was us just randomly breaking the racial truce that we've had with them. Okay, it's not in response to black people just being killed with impunity. That's not the truth. What's the thing is that we just wanted to break the tie and break this racial truce that they claim we had, this racial utopia that they claim we had prior to Black Lives Matter. All right, okay, because they weren't doing anything wrong before that. So he has this panel. Let me get to the super chat before we continue. He has this panel. Hold on. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin says, keep it real. We're going to have to start busting heads. We're going to have to start beat bussing. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, don't do that to me. Don't do that. Come on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'll be right with you guys. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Oh, Lord, don't do that. Don't do it. See, now my thing is a little... Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Give me 1 second. There's always something, ain't it? That's true, but that's true. There's always something, right? And then Tom Slick, shout out to my brother Tom Slick. He says, we are tired of groups like you. And he's talking to Jason Whitlow. We are tired of groups like you. This guy has some nerve. Damn black fatigue. Get used to it. It's really just they're tired of the whole sight and all that of black people. Yeah, they're going to have to get used to it because this ain't our country. This ain't their country. This is our country. This is our country. And we're going to get into why black fatigue isn't working, because they have no place with the degeneracy in their society to sit up here on some moral pedestal, some self-appointed moral pedestal, and condemn our culture. They don't have the authority to do that. They don't have the place to do that. Now, before we get into it, Jason Whitlock, he had a panel. I'm not sure if everybody on this panel, but he had a panel
long overdue
of people to discuss black fatigue. So in this panel, he's there. He has Boyce Watkins. He has this other person named Virgil. I think Virgil is a pastor. He has Anton Daniels. And then he has this one lady, Shamika, I think her name is. I'm not familiar with her content or Virgil's content. I know Anton Daniels, he's a tether. He said so himself. And Boyce Watkins. And y'all just take a good breath. Take a good breath. Now, this whole conversation goes on for like 2 hours. There's no way in the world we're going to be able to play that. But I wanted to play some of this stuff. So he allows Anton Daniels to go first. Okay. Here we go.
Well, welcome and long overdue. So glad you're joining us. And so, Anton, since you're the rookie, I'm going to let you answer the first question and then everybody jump in. I will ask, because there's so many of us, that everyone try to not filibuster and, I'll pass the ball back to you often. Let's try to speak in 2 minutes, 90 seconds, 60-second sound bites, and you'll get the ball often. I said a bunch yesterday. I want to hear from you all. And so, Anton, I'll just start here. The whole concept of black fatigue, is this a real concept, or is it just something that's happening, or is it just a social media hashtag?
No, it's something that's been bubbling up behind the scenes for an extended period of time now. And I don't even think it necessarily should be labeled black fatigue. It's the easy way for us to categorize it. I think that it's more or less about N-word fatigue. And I don't know, I'm not going to go as incendiary as I would usually go on my own platform, but I think that it's N-word fatigue because all cultures don't necessarily deal with everybody within their culture and then categorize or become responsible for everything within a culture, right? When you look at Asian culture, or you travel overseas, or you go to Japan, or you go to some of these other places, there are entire cities that are designated for the outcasts or for the people that can't participate in society, and for them to hold themselves accountable and to truly be able to do things that is conducive for the group as a whole. But we are one of the very few cultures, especially here in the United States of America, where we find ourselves somehow, some way having to patronize black businesses that's not necessarily anybody that we would rock with, or we find out later that somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, or somehow we're not invited to the barbecue if we don't find ourselves wearing bonnets at the airport, or when somebody is loud, we can't be very matter of fact and direct and holding ourselves accountable. We celebrate the most degenerate of our society, whether it be our music or, the things that we really champion and make famous on social media. And the minute that we then say that we want to have a difference of opinion, which diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that we champion within the black community, even though it doesn't really benefit black people as a whole, but it has benefited white women more than anybody else. Diversity of thought is only conducive if it's somebody that agrees with you, because if somebody like myself that is a conservative or a Republican, regardless of what your results are, married for over 20 years, successfully married, no children out of wedlock, never had an arrest, no problems, no trouble, but when you contribute into your economy and you stay home in Detroit, Michigan, and you do the thing that's right, somehow you get called a bootlicker or a coon. So, what I've seen from people that don't look like us is that they are tired of acquiescing or acting like that there's not a real issue with black people when we are some of the most racist people that we've seen on the face of this earth. And if you go into any black household or living room, one of the first things that they're gonna tell a black man is make sure you don't bring a white woman home. One of the first things that they're gonna say is make sure that you vote for Democrats, regardless of whether we are conservative in how we live our lives. So what white people are finally starting to do is get the courage to say, nah, we don't necessarily agree with you. And sometimes it comes out in some of the most incendiary ways, like the whole Shiloh situation. But now you're seeing an overcorrection from a long time of bad behavior from a lot of black people.
Okay. Some people are asking where he's from. I don't remember a lot of people saying. I know in the video he said he's not FBA. In the video, he said in the video where he's from. I don't remember. He specifically said he's not FBA though, so I do know that. I'm not sure exactly where though. Now let's break this down. Is he Nigerian? I think a lot of people in the chat room saying that he might be Nigerian. He's just not FBA. I know that much. A lot of people now he's saying stuff like, well, there are negative points in everybody's society. Okay, if there are negative points in everybody's society, let me ask this question. Why do we say black? I want you guys to keep this in mind, because white people, let's break this down for a second, actually. Do you understand? We always get this thing of, well, black people, we always fighting each other. Black people always fighting each other. And we can never stop fighting each other. We always doing this and fighting and doing that and that. No. There is not a group of people who fight each other more than white people. White people fight each other consistently all the time, warring with each other. We'll start a world war with each other. There's been world wars around the world, and twice by white people on other white people. Okay? Here is the thing with that, though. When white people, when they fight other white people, they don't say it's white. They just erase that word white. When white people call out other white people or disagree with other white people, notice they use other terms. So if a white person is mad at another group of white people, they'll say, oh, these liberals. Oh my God, the liberals over there. They'll say things like that. They won't attack the whiteness. They don't attack them by their whiteness. They'll attack them by maybe their political stance, whether that's the right or the left, because they're the same birds of white supremacy. They understand by their upbringing, it's off code to condemn and attack whiteness, which is why you don't see them doing that. If they call out another white person, it's always something else, not their whiteness. Their whiteness is never to be condemned. It's always, oh, well, you know, those conservatives over there, oh, those Republicans, they'll attack the political stances of them. They might even, all the Southerners, all the people from California, they might attack their demographic, okay, or their location, or their political stance. They'll attack them being male or female, but never, they understand this, never condemn them based off of them being white. They never say, oh, well, I'm sick of this white liberal. White people don't call out white liberals. They'll just say liberals. They mean white liberals, but they know not to condemn whiteness. So they'll just say liberals. When white people talk about conservatives, they mean white conservatives, but they just know not to say white. So they just say conservatives. But they beef all the time. They fight all of the time. It's only black people who are like, man, it's black people. We are our own worst enemy and we just suck and we're terrible. And oh my God, stop doing that. That's stupid. That's stupid to do. Everybody else because there's fighting among every other community, yet they make sure, let's not put our racial group and let's not condemn the racial group off of this. If they fight each other, it's always, they got to find another phrase to categorize them and separate that from the totality of white. Okay, because their thing is never ever, whether they're Republican or liberal, regardless, don't condemn whiteness. They don't do that. All right, but they beef all the time. He goes to say stuff like, oh, well, you know, we promote the degeneracy in the community and we promote that. How do we praise the rappers? We praise degenerate rappers like what? There are some people we are fans of. Let's just say there's people we're fans of and we're fans of their music and all of that stuff. Do white people not listen to the same hip hop that black people listen to? So what do we do to praise them? When you go to a city, a black neighborhood, do you see murals and statues of King Von? Do you see? No, you don't see that. So what are we doing exactly to praise degeneracy? Oh, you're not invited to the cookout if you don't wear a bonnet at an airport. Okay. And this shows you how out of touch he is. I've been to several airports in the last few years, okay? Both Midway and O'Hare, 2 airports in Chicago. I've been to airports in Atlanta. I've been to airports in DC. I've been to airports in Los Angeles. I've been to airports all over the place, airports in Texas. You don't really see, it probably was the thing where he so often, but you don't really see women in bonnets like that. You really don't. And I've been there like crack of dawn, super early, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. That was a little thing that was going on. And then Monique called it out. It was a little discourse about it. But now you don't really see that. That's like somebody said, well, black people, they all y'all doing is sag and sag and sag. Not really. Not really. I mean, if you go back to like what 2005, maybe you could probably find, but and I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all, but not really. Not to the point where if you don't do it, you're not invited to the cookout. With that type of narrative, what he's trying to say is that black people only allow quote ghetto-ness. And first off, they use the word ghetto, which isn't a racial term, but they only use the word ghetto when they're talking about black people. They never use the word ghetto when talking about the degeneracy of any other community whatsoever. It is exclusive for black people. That's the only time they use ghetto. Similar to the word thug. That's the only time they use thug. It's not a racial term, but yet in context, it becomes a racial term because that's the only time they use it. So what he's trying to say is that, well, if you don't wear a bonnet to the airport, then you're not invited to the cookout, which means that black people have promoted such degenerate ghetto behavior that if you don't partake in that, then you're ostracized from the community. No, that's not the truth. That's not the truth. You can call out certain things, and we do here. You can call out certain things that you disagree with in the community. But what we don't allow is for you to sit up here and demonize the entire community, the entire culture, which is by proxy justifying our subjugation and oppression by white supremacy. We're not going to allow you to do that. We're not going to allow you to label all of us or paint all of us with one big broad brush because you see somebody at the airport with a bonnet on. We're not just going to allow you to do that. Now, another thing that's interesting is all of this condemning and stuff like that he's doing of our culture, he wouldn't do of his culture. Yet you come here and you get a platform, and yet you think you have the authority to wag your finger at some black women at an airport. Why don't you go to your homeland? Let's go to your homeland and see what they're wearing to the airport. How about we do that? Because if we did that, he would feel some type of way. If we went to his homeland and we was looking at all of the ghetto ratchet behavior that just nobody says anything about, nobody does anything about, they would feel some type of way. Yet they come here and they have the nerve and audacity to sit up here and wag their finger and condemn our culture as if their culture is any better at all. As, oh my God, you're not invited to the cookout unless you throw up gang signs and unless you partake in drugs and alcohol. I can't believe it. No. There's a lot of black people who don't do none of that stuff. Yeah, but they're not out here justifying racism like Anton does. They're not out here doing that. They're not out here trying to pacify or rationalize that like he tried to did with Shallow, whatever her name is, Shallow, whatever. Be all like, well, yeah, notice how, let me take it back a little bit. Notice the last thing he says about this lady. He says, well, yeah, it's too much. Remember I said that they would do that. It's too much, but it's an overcorrection. Right? That's what he says.
Have a certain amount of hood.
Hold on.
Let me leave.
I want you to hop back in here and just answer my question. I don't think.
Hold on. That's wrong.
As a whole, but it has benefited white women more than anybody else. Diversity of thought is only conducive if it's somebody that agrees with you, because if you, somebody like myself that is a conservative or a Republican, regardless of what your results are, married for over 20 years, successfully married, no children out of wedlock, never had an arrest, no problems, no trouble. But when you contribute into your economy and you stay home in Detroit, Michigan, and you do the thing that's right, somehow you get called a bootlicker or a coon. So, you know, what I've seen from people that don't look like us is that they are tired of acquiescing or acting like that there's not a real issue with black people when we are some of the most racist people that we've seen on the face of this earth. And if you go into any black household or living room, one of the first things that they're gonna tell a black man is make sure you don't bring a white woman home.
Yeah, they won't say that. A white person won't say that. He'll just pull out the damn shotgun. Oh, we're racist because we say make sure you don't bring a white person home. Oh, so you mean that those old white fathers, they're perfectly fine with their white daughters bringing home a black man, oh yeah, okay. Every other group of people have a much, I'm gonna be very honest with you, every other group of people have a much bigger problem with interracial dating, interracial marriage than we do. Even if there are some black people who have issues with it, or some black people who might side-eye it, there's a I'm talking about it, they act like it's life or death issue if you bring home a black person. They don't act like that when you bring home anybody else, but you bring home a Negro, a black person, it's a life or death issue. So much so, you've had videos, we've seen videos of little white girls crying that their dad doesn't want to meet their grandchild because they had a baby by a black man. I have not seen a single video, and you can look it up, Google it all you want to, because there's tons of them out there. I haven't seen a single video of a black grandfather saying, I'm not going to see my grandchild because his mother is white. I've never seen that. But you do have white grandfathers who say, I'm not going to see my mixed mulatto grandchild. I don't want nothing to do with my grandchild's life. We see that all the time. While you talk about black people are racist because we don't promote or condone interracial relationships. Okay. But let's let him say
One
that.
of the first things that they're going to say is make sure that you vote for Democrats, regardless of whether we are conservative and how we live our lives. So what white people are finally starting to do is get the courage to say, nah, we don't necessarily agree with you.
And just the way, first off, the way he's doing this, white people are finally, like, white people have been just sitting on their hands and thumbs, just being abused, beat across the head. And white people have been the ones in the right the whole time. And white people haven't been doing anything at all. And this is a response, a justified response of white people who are just developing the courage to do something against black people who've been running amok.
And sometimes it comes out in some of the most incendiary ways, like the whole Shiloh situation. But now you're seeing.
But notice sometimes it comes out in the most incendiary ways, but
an overcorrection from a long time of bad behavior from a lot of black people.
A long time of bad behavior from black people. Okay. Because they've been the most well-behaved people, according to Antoine.
Boyce, I'm going to ask you the same question.
I keep saying Twine.
But I'm going to put a little twist on it. Is black fatigue real, or is it just a social media hashtag? And if it is real, are white people justified for having it?
Is it real? I think that things are real if you want them to be real. I know black fatigue because I've experienced that. I have a type of black fatigue that I still have to confront, but it's not from the things that are listed under the standard definition. From what I saw, black fatigue is rooted in the feelings about systematic racism, microaggressions, things that tend to be very political. Like I saw George Floyd get killed, and it traumatized me because I could get killed by the police. I think that you can shape a term like that in the way that you want, without and acknowledge the realities of being black without falling into these political traps. I don't trust a term like black fatigue because it comes laced with too many left-wing ideologies that are just these talking points that they use to get our votes every November for politicians that never earn those votes. So also the threat of black fatigue is that if you get too caught up in that definition and you define yourself by that, then you have labeled yourself a victim without actually also labeling yourself as a problem solver. So I can identify with a lot of those feelings. I can identify with the microaggressions. I can identify with maybe some issues in terms of dealing with cops and the racial disparities. I believe that they're very real. But I was also raised in a family that says, if you don't like your reality, you should be empowered to change it. And one of the ways that we harm our own people is when we are so determined to put people in a victim box that we remind them of their powerlessness. And in fact, I'll say this: if you give a child a wheelchair before he ever learns how to walk, then he'll never learn how to use his legs. And that's the issue. And this is why I think if you're going to talk about any form of disparity or any issues that we deal with being black, I think everybody on this panel knows that we're black, and we know that being black is different. It's a different kind of experience. But when we deal with that, it must be dealt in a way that's healthy. I don't feel that this is the healthiest way to approach these issues.
I need you guys' help. Can somebody in the chat room, anybody, explain what that meant? Can somebody explain to me what type of answer that was? That because it started off right here, and then we just kind of jumped right here, and now we kind of back here, and now it's black fatigue is about this, but now it's also about left Democrats, and now it's also I don't know what type of word salad that was, what type of answer that was. See, this is the problem when you're trying to sound too smart. When you're trying to make everything such a very deep, and you're trying to over articulate a very simple answer, and you're trying to make a very simple answer sound a lot more sophisticated and poetic than it really is. Because I'm sitting up there like, okay, and I had my hopes up high. I'm all like, okay, boys, at least boys can get him. Lost me. I didn't know where he was going with that. Okay. I tuned out, I tuned back in, and I kind of tried to see if that connected to the first. I'm thinking like, okay, well, maybe he'll kind of clear it up and circle it back and make it make sense at the end. That didn't happen. Okay. I don't, at this point, his answer, I don't know what he thinks about black fatigue. Okay, he says he has it, but we shouldn't have it because we shouldn't be victims, and we shouldn't see ourselves. Okay, all right. But then let's continue. All right, I just want you guys, because some people in the chat room seemed a little confused, but don't worry, I was right with you guys. I didn't understand either. Then he says this.
I'm gonna ask you a follow up. I want to ask you a follow up that's a little bit. I don't want to go too far away from the black fatigue, but you analogized yourself to some degree that you saw George Floyd die and you could see yourself dying in the same way. I don't believe that. I don't think that's a fair analogy. I don't think Boyce Watkins.
If it sounded that way, that wasn't what I intended to say. Let's just be clear. George Floyd and I'm hearing you on that. I watched the detailed video of how Floyd was killed. Most black men would not die the same way. Remember, you're talking to the son of a police officer. I got best friends. I went to kindergarten with who were cops. I've seen the range. I've seen the corrupt cops. I've seen the good cops. I've seen everything in between. And didn't mean to jump in and interrupt you on that, but I'll say that, no, when I saw the way George Floyd died, I wasn't happy with the way George Floyd was eulogized or sort of elevated into this symbolic figure that's supposed to represent black people compared to Martin Luther King and all this other silliness that they did. That was 100% political. So you are correct. And in fact, if you look at George Floyd's criminal history, I can never identify with a black man who will put a knife to a pregnant woman's stomach. I'm not going to align myself with that. So to your point, what I can identify with is that I've known men who were not terrible men, who made mistakes when they were young, who then spent 25 years in prison, and that was too much, right? So the disparities are real, but the George Floyd incident, not only was that an inaccurate portrayal of the experience of most black men, but it also didn't accomplish anything. It just achieved just enough symbolism for the Democrats to get their votes. And that's the part that ends up offending me. So my apologies for interrupting you.
No.
You know, when I looked at this panel and I saw all these people, I knew who Anton is. I know who Jason Whitlock is, unfortunately. I had a figure, I had an imagination of what these other two people, but I was hoping that Boyce was gonna hold it down. I was hoping that Boyce was gonna hold it down. Now, from this, that no, he ain't. He ain't hold it down. Okay, sir. Let me get this off the screen for a second. Sir, you brought up George Floyd. And then the second he says something about, I don't think we would have went out like George Floyd. No, you brought up George Floyd. Oh, most black people, they wouldn't have held a knife to a pregnant woman's stomach or whatever the case is, and all of this stuff. Dude, none of what George Floyd's long rap sheet or whatever the case is, none of that stuff mattered at all. That did not matter at all. That was not relevant to him being strangled to death in the street. All of that stuff is completely irrelevant. None of that was a factor. Derek Chauvin wasn't thinking, I got to get rid of this guy because he's going to stab a pregnant woman. He was not thinking that. So it doesn't matter. That's not germane to the situation that happened to George Floyd whatsoever. What all of that stuff is doing is rationalizing and giving a justification for Derek Chauvin to do what he did by trying to victim blame George Floyd, somebody who was brutally strangled to death by the police on camera. Oh, most black people wouldn't have done that. Yeah, most black people wouldn't have done that necessarily. But if George Floyd didn't, do you think he wouldn't have gotten strangled? If George Floyd he never had a rap sheet like that before. And because remember, he was called not because he had a knife to a pregnant woman's stomach. He was called because an alleged fake dollar bill was being used at a corner store. That's why the police were called, not because nobody was in no life or death dangerous situation. So none of that life or death dangerous situation, oh my God, he beat up, none of that stuff has anything at all to do with what happened to him. So for the fact that you bring him up and then you can't even stand on what happened to him was wrong, he backed up out of that. You saw the Jason Whitlock didn't even push him or put that much pressure on the whole George Floyd thing before Boyce just folded like a damn lawn chair and said, oh, I don't even want to bring up the George Floyd thing. He brought it up and couldn't stand on it. Then talk about, I know some black men who made mistakes and they were in prison for 20 years. There's the disparity. Boy, stop being weak. This is what you the one supposed to claim you say B1 all the time, but you can't hold it down. You shouldn't have been up there. That was pathetic. What the hell was that? Shout out to the support. My brother Antithesis out here supporting. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Tom Slick says, damn, you wanted elite? Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate your support. But let's get back to it.
My voice isn't nearly as important today as hearing from you all. Virgil, you go ahead and chime in here on the questions I've asked for so far.
And another thing, too, somebody in the chat room bring up a good point. Was the knife to a pregnant woman's stomach even proven? This is the first time I heard of it. I've heard of that before, but to be honest, I've never seen any proof of that. Who was this woman that was allegedly pregnant and George Floyd put a knife to her stomach? Who was that? Or is that just another racist talking point? Which, if it happened or didn't happen, is not excusable for what Derek Chauvin did. Not at all.
And any reaction to any of it?
No, I think you're spot on. One of the things that I agree with what Anton said, and I think it was really Chris Rock back in, I think it was 96 in his comedic sketch where he talked about you got black folks and then you got the N-words. And the N-words are always the ones who mess things up for everybody else. You go to the barbecue, everybody's having a good time, and then the N-words show up and then they wreck everything for everybody. I think that's more of what you're seeing being displayed on social media. And what social media has done is it's really stripped away the veil of that reality. Chris Rock was talking about it in 1996. But what we're seeing now with the advent of social media is everybody now has a ticket to see the chaos at the picnic table, right, at the barbecue. They get a chance to see it firsthand, and they're sick and tired of it. It was Van Jones who coined the term white lash once Trump got elected. I think what we're seeing in social media is a black lash. It's actually blacks and whites who are getting sick and tired of every time they open up their social media app, seeing some breakout fight at a Target or something happening at a Carnival Cruise event where folks are arrested. You scroll your feed, and every time you see something chaotic like that, your immediate thought, whether you voice it out loud or not, is there go them, and followed by N-words, and you keep pressing on. I think it's real. I think it's a reality. I understand the desire to separate it from black culture or black people altogether, because not every black person acts like that. Not every black person is engaged in that kind of behavior. There are some of us the vast majority, who are dignified, and you're seeing because of, again, the proliferation of social media, you get a first-hand view, you get a front row seat to the actual chaos, and that's what actually gets clicks. But I also think, and I'll be brief here, I also think we as a culture, as a group of people who see these kinds of things, have to bring shame back. And have to bring shame back into the culture as something that's a course corrective for bad behavior in culture. We need to be the ones at the front line of saying that is ghetto, and we don't accept it, we don't agree with it, we don't believe it. That's not how we're wired. We need to do better, and we need not to be so frightened when others pick up on it. Whites, Hispanics, and other cultures pick up on that same kind of rhetoric, because it shouldn't be about you being able to act crazy because of the color of your skin. You should be called to acting rightly and acting in a socially cohesive manner with the rest of society.
Okay. So he just assembled the legion of damn Sambos and Tethers, apparently. Apparently, that's what he did. I mean, I guess you got to give him credit for accomplishing that feat. Talk about the culture. We need to bring shame back, and that we've always had black people who've called out things that we disagreed with in the community. We've always had that. We've had, on this very channel alone, we've called out stuff that from hell, Sexy Red to Little Nas X to who else? I mean, we've called out different celebrities and doing off-code stuff consistently all the time. We've called out not long ago, who was that one dude? I forgot his name. I can't believe he's like some type of comedian or something like that. He was talking about some black-owned businesses and whatnot. I'm talking about from preachers and all that stuff. We do that all the time, yet we don't call them out and use calling them out as a proxy to condemn the entire community. That's what we don't do. Yeah, we're not going to condemn the whole community because we're calling out a behavior that is practiced by a few people in the community. We're not going to even say black, because it's not exclusive to black people, and it's not a black problem. It's a problem amongst certain people. Just the same way when white people call out things that they don't like among white society, they don't say white. They'll say liberal, they'll say hillbilly, they'll say conservative, they'll say everything else but white. So why are we sitting up there making it seem like this is a racial and ethnic issue when it's not? I'm not doing that. I don't care what y'all say. I'm not doing that. This dude, oh, we need to bring shame back. Dude, all of this ratchet behavior. And this is this whole thing of Jason Whitlock has essentially collectively gathered around a bunch of people who are going to agree to, because in order for the term to really get its headway, you have to have a whole bunch of the massa lovers to go ahead and be all like, I'm sick of black people too. Chris Rock said back in 1996, dude, okay. So you're going to get a quote from a stand-up special to say this is the reflection of black people from a comedian, from a stand-up special in the 90s. Something that happened close to a stand-up special from almost 30 years ago. Now, you're not going to quote any stand-up special that condemns white folk, but yet you're constantly going to bring up that one little line of a stand-up, not that one little line, and say, well, this is the reflection of how black people feel about other black people. Okay. Like, that's not a reach. Okay, come on. Boy.
Shamika, I want to ask you this, and you can respond to anything you've heard so far, but I get the Chris Rock bit, and I get the argument that, hey, there's black people and there's ninjas, but it feels like black people spend a lot of energy defending ninjas, and while still trying to distance themselves from them, but it's like there's a part of that ninja culture that we all want just enough in us. We want to know every rap song that denigrates us. We idolize every rapper that denigrates us. And so there seems to be an affinity and a natural instinct to defend ninjas at every turn. And that's how you end up with statues of George Floyd and this belief that, you know, he was just this harmless guy that got killed by Derek Chauvin. And so there seems to be a...
Doesn't matter if he was harmless or not. He shouldn't have been killed. I don't care what he did. Derek Chauvin, let me be abundantly clear with this. George Floyd was unjustifiably brutalized and murdered by the police. I don't care what George Floyd's rap sheet is. I don't care. I do not care what George Floyd did in his past prior to that incident, because absolutely none of that was relevant and none of that justifies what Derek Chauvin did. Absolutely none of it. There is absolutely no justification in the world. If George Floyd, let me tell y'all something. I'm going to be 110% abundantly clear, and I'm never going to take this back. I'm never going to apologize for what I'm about to say right now. If George Floyd was a damn serial killer, it still wouldn't have justified what happened to him. I'm going to be very clear with that. I stand on that 100%. There is absolutely no justification in the world for a police officer to put his knee on the neck of somebody for close to 10 minutes as they're handcuffed with two other men, mind you, on his back, and grinds his knee into the concrete until he passes out, and then continues to do that until the paramedics make him get up for it, making sure he was dead. There's absolutely nothing in the world George Floyd could have done to justify the police doing that. I don't care what if he was a damn terrorist, I don't care who's out here blowing up countries, it wouldn't have justified the police doing that. All of this condemning George Floyd is y'all trying to say the police has the right to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's what you guys are saying. And I'm never going to allow that to happen. I'm never going to give that a pass, ever. All right? I don't care what y'all say. And no, we're not sitting up here pedestalizing George Floyd. We're not out here acting like George Floyd was some type of hero. We, black folk, we didn't make a George Floyd statue. We did not do that. That was the actual Democratic Party who used the tragedy of George Floyd as a political leverage. So they acted like they cared about the situation for George Floyd because they needed that to be used for political leverage. We didn't ask for no George Floyd statue. We didn't ask for that. Or no George Floyd Day or no George Floyd thing. We didn't ask for that. So that's not on us. All of those George Floyd statues and him being paraded like a hero, black folk, and we ain't sitting up there doing that. What we are saying is the bigger picture. What we are saying is that what happened to him is completely unjustifiable and it needs to be condemned. It needs to be corrected. What happened to him is completely unacceptable. Okay? That don't mean he needs a statue. We not out here doing that. But let's continue. I had to go off for a second.
Reluctance from black people to distance themselves from ninjas.
I agree, Jason. I think that what it is there's still this idea that we don't want white people to know what's going on. So there's this, not necessarily defending it. I know it comes across that way, but don't tell anybody it exists. Let's not pretend like this is real. Shh, let's keep it quiet because there's this idea that it'll make all of us look bad. I agree with Virgil when he says it's time to get back to shaming them. It's time to shame those, for me, in the grocery store in their bonnets, in their pajama pants, in there being loud, in there not carrying themselves with dignity and class the way I'm used to my grandparents and great-grandparents carrying themselves. We have to start calling it out. But as you are well aware that when we do that, we're told we're coons, we're Uncle Toms, we have sold out. That's the idea. And every group of people has a lesser group. Like, we understand that white people have white trash. The thing is, though, they don't go around authenticating themselves according to the white trash. And that's what we do as Black people. If you don't have a certain amount of hood or degeneracy, or if you don't celebrate it in some way, they'll say you're not real. You're not keeping it real. You're not authentic. You're not a real Black person. And I think that's where the problem is because.
I'm sorry, but just when you hear the term keeping it real, you know somebody is out of touch. You can tell when a Black person is out of touch when they use old slang that no Black person uses nowadays. We ain't in 2025. We don't sit up there and be all like, you ain't keeping it real, dog. Like, Black people don't talk like that no more. Using term from the early 2000s. Yeah, we keeping it real. We fresh to death. Ain't that Black people don't use that no more. That goes to show you how out of touch, because you don't like to associate with Black people whatsoever. So when you condemn, you're condemning and you're correcting not from a place of love and a place of wanting to see Black people get better. You are trying to denigrate a community under the guise of quote unquote correction. That's me keeping it real.
Because they actually try to use that to legitimize the rest of Black people, and that's really silly. I love the whole Chris Rock thing, and I'm glad Anton brought that in, because that's what I was thinking. There are Black people, and then there are N-words, and what social media has done is it's just brought the N-words to the forefront that everybody can see it. And now we have to stop lying and pretending like it's not a thing, because it is a thing. And it's no longer, shh, don't tell anybody what's in our home. Everybody can see it.
Yeah.
The whole thing of we've been trying to hide our community or the degenerates or the unfavorables, quote unquote, in our community, that's never been, ever since there has been media, ever since media, let's be honest. Let's really understand. This is why it's important for us to know history. Ever since media in this country has existed, it's been filled with anti-Blackness. It's been filled with anti-Black stereotypes and racism and propaganda. It's been flooded. That's really the origin of it. We can go all the way back to, let me see if I got the picture up here still, Birth of a Nation. We can go all the way back hundreds of years ago to Birth of a Nation. Ever since there has been media in this country, it's always been used to depict Black people as criminalistic, animalistic, degenerate, savages, okay, less than human beings. From that to the Jim Crow stereotype cartoons, the blackface cartoons that they would have, the early, y'all want to see some racism, go back to early Disney. The early Disney cartoons and how they would depict Black people. They've always cherry picked and highlighted that. They've used their TV shows and the news channels to cherry pick and hyper focus on criminal elements within the community. The show Cops, they have been sued. They face, go, you can Google it. We did a live stream about this some years ago. The show Cops has been sued for literally cherry picking and combing through and getting out all of the videos of cops' interactions with white people. They would sprinkle in a little bit of that and they would fill it up with cops' interactions with Black people. There was a big lawsuit about it, which is why the show was canceled. And then the show had to come back. The show got canceled a few times before it went off air completely, because that's what the show Cops would do. The show Cops would film a whole bunch of police interactions, and then when they get back to the studio, they would comb through and they say, okay, well, we don't want to seem too obvious, so we'll put like 2 videos of white people in there, and then the next 7 will be Black. That's what they would do. They have always done this. So for her to sit up here and say something as stupid as we didn't want Black or the dominant society to know how we've been acting, but now the cat's out of the bag, they've always depicted us in media like this. This is absolutely nothing new. There's always been anti-black propaganda. It's always been like that. So this is not no new thing. Let me get to some of the super chats, y'all. Alonda says Dr. Boyce and Teslin Figaro have both sold out the FBA movement a while ago. They both attended the reparations rally in 2022, yet they flipped. Hey, I mean, I've seen that with Boyce. There has been some things I have seen with Tesla. I just don't agree, especially politically. I was a little surprised to see. I was like, damn, that's how you going? That's how you moving? So yeah, notice that they don't really come around the black grassroots like that. There's been things, and I haven't been tapped in that much with her, but there's been things that I've seen, especially from Boyce. Lord have mercy, man. He be saying B1 and moving the opposite way. Thank you very much, Alonda. Shout out to Tom Slick again saying, okay, we'll do it when white folks start calling out their culture and their people. Yeah. You want accountability yet, but we the only people who's supposed to be held accountable. No, y'all lead by example. Y'all call out other white people. And then we'll call out black people and black culture after y'all call out white culture. And we'll get to that in a second. But the conversation, shout out to the Cash App from Latribia. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, family. But the conversation continues. Of course, we're going to have to skip ahead the conversation. So we're going to skip ahead, and now we're going to go to this video right here.
It seems like we're getting a lot more of this than the other. Play the clip.
You came in here. You need to tell me I'm doing anything to rectify the situation. Fuck you, bitch. And get on my face. Somebody give me the number. Who your general manager? Bitch, like I said, every time I come in here, you fucking yelling at somebody. Bitch, I come here every day for my lunch break. Eat me, bitch. You can say that shit walking away. Now, how about that? Fuck her. Oh, bitch. Fuck it all. Call, baby. Now, pick it up, bitch. Pick it all up. Pick it the fuck up, bitch.
And so, obviously, that's a super extreme example. That's a super extreme, and that's not the norm. But
that's the norm, Jason.
Are there lesser? I don't think that's the norm. There's
the
lesser
norm,
versions
Jason.
of it.
That's not. I don't know a lot of women who act like that. I'm telling you'll never see my wife or my daughters behaving that way in public.
Wow.
You know, I think if you were to show some crazy line, ridiculous redneck, on TV, most white people wouldn't identify with him either. I don't think any of us have to even answer for that behavior, because the most extreme behavior is what gets captured in the media, and they do that same thing to men. Look at what some of these male rappers are doing, just embarrassing black men everywhere, making us look stupid. So I personally think we have to know the difference between the true human beings that are really leading the community versus these cartoon characters that people love to put on television.
That is the norm.
I will say I do agree with Boyce with that. My issue is that he be tiptoeing too much, and I don't like people who be tiptoeing. I don't like people who be fence riding. I don't like that. But the fact that he did say, yeah, that is true. Yeah, you are highlighting the very negative things, and most black people don't act like that. Most black women don't be acting like that. Most black men don't be acting like that. I don't like the fact that of course, he has to find a way to kind of throw black men, because he be on this super simping thing, and he has to find a way to kind of throw black men under the bus for whatever reason. He has black rappers be making black men look stupid. Was that necessary? Did that even help your point? That kind of contradicts the point you were making of most black people ain't acting like that. And then you bring up rappers, and most black rap, they be making black men. Dude, why would you say that? Just your way of trying to make black men like in this lower pedestal than black women for whatever. Okay, you're messing your own point up, dude.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, why do we?
And here comes Anton. Oh yeah, that's real regular. That's real regular. That happens all the time.
Keep on comparing. Like, we keep trying to justify our bad behavior by comparing it to white people. Western culture is cooked. White women are no better. They are whores. They sleep around. If you go to any college campus, they are more promiscuous than any women that's on campus. And more importantly, you have more white people on social services than any other demographic. So we need to kill this whole narrative and thinking that just because we compare ourselves to a group of people that are slightly above us socioeconomic status as far as how it is that they perform as a group, then that somehow justifies the fact that we need to be able to do what it is that we need to do. That is the norm. And it is normal for us to have certain conversations. If you want to see a truly racist person, go into some of these black households and see how they talk when they by themselves without the cameras on. If you want to see some people go out and twerk, it's not hard to go out there and find some people twerking with their pajamas still on that they're gonna get back in bed with. That is not something that is new. All of us have seen it. This is not a rare sighting. This is not Bigfoot in the woods. If you go to Walmart right now, you can probably find both a white woman in her pajamas with SpongeBob on them and they dirty at the bottom, and you can find a black woman with a bonnet on. And more importantly, if you go to our local schools, because it starts with the parents, it's not the teachers. The teachers are not miseducating our children. It's the parents. If you go to the schools, I guarantee you that if you hold any one of their little munchkins accountable, because if you look at that video, her son was right there. He gonna be a son husband when he grow up. If you go to any of the schools and you hold their kid accountable, you will see that exact same persona coming up to the school to cuss the teacher out.
Yeah.
That's not new. This is regular.
Virgil, go ahead. Virgil.
Yeah. I don't.
Before Virgil goes ahead, Antoine's his thing froze up. Let me ask this question though. Is that normal behavior? No, it's not. Even Jason, as damn massa loving as Jason Whitlock is, even Jason Whitlock had to admit that, yeah, that's extreme. This video is extreme. This video isn't indicative of the average, everyday, regular black woman. Even Jason Whitlock had to admit that this is an extreme video. He even had to admit that. So for Anton to be all like, man, this is normal. I see this every single day. A woman tearing up Wendy's. No, you don't. No, you do not. That is a very rare thing to see. Okay. And he's, oh man, this happened every single day. Okay, if a woman, let's say you don't even agree. Let's say you don't agree with women going outside in their bonnets. Okay. And that is more common than her than a woman who's raging out at a damn Wendy's, or a woman in her pajamas in Walmart is more common than them tearing up Wendy's. Is that the same thing? Notice how he tried to make a comparison to this woman raging out at this Wendy's to a woman in a store in a bonnet. Okay, yeah, you might not agree with that. You might not think that that's a good look for the community, but that doesn't mean that the woman who's in the store wearing a bonnet is going to sit up there and be throwing napkins and sporks and spoons and forks, because they do got sporks, at Wendy's. That's not the same thing. You try, just because you see somebody wearing a bonnet mean they going to tear up a damn fast food restaurant? No, it's not. But you're trying to make it seem like just as common as you see a black woman in a bonnet is as common as you're going to see a black woman tearing up a damn fast food place. That's not the truth. As common as you see somebody in some pajamas mean you're going to see that same person be tearing up something. No, that's not the truth. You're trying to make this comparison because you want to make what this extreme video is more normalized. And even Jason is saying, yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal behavior. First off, to be very honest, black women at Walmart in their bonnets on is really not normal behavior. That's not something you see every day when you go to Walmart. When you go to Walmart on a regular basis, you don't see every single black woman with a bonnet on. You really don't see that. Okay? Even if you go to the hoodest of the hood, you might see a couple, but for the most part, you don't really see that, to be very honest with you. So that's not even as, or the pajama thing. That's not even as common as they're trying to make it out to be. And if they were doing that, that don't mean they send up there tearing up fast food places.
Anton, hold for 1 second. Hold for 1 second, Virgil. Anton's camera has frozen up. We can hear him crystal clear. I don't know if we can correct that
switch it up.
while
Let me
Virgil
get my
and
camera
Sham-
Yeah.
Virgil, now go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in and say I agree with Anton that's more normative behavior than not. I live here in Atlanta. I'm out at the grocery store. I'm out at the mall. I'm out wherever you go, whether you're at a doctor's office, whether you're flying out of the country or around the states at the airport. That's the behavior you're seeing, and what this really is.
No, that's the behavior you're seeing. Y'all, come on. Every time you go, and this is them because really, anytime I gotta stop it. I just gotta. I have to breathe. Take a break. Anytime you see white people trying to justify, because this is what they're using the new term black fatigue is, that is something that they're using to justify the oppression and racism from white people. They're using that as to say, well, black people, y'all kind of really do deserve to be treated like that because we're tired of you all. You guys started with us. And every time we see that, they have to cherry pick and highlight old videos that happened years ago. There's some videos I'm seeing where they're using the term black fatigue, and I'm all like, I saw that video 5 years ago, and they're resurfacing those videos to say, well, this is black fatigue. We see this every single day, and they don't. They're resurfacing old videos. They're reposting old videos. There are fight videos of every other race, but they're cherry picking and reposting these videos. And then they have to make people like this, these master lovers, get out here and be all like, oh my God, this happens every single day. I see it no, you don't. This doesn't happen every single day. They would not have to repost old videos from years ago if stuff like this happened every day. If stuff like this happened every day, why are we seeing the same videos we saw in 2019, 2022? Why are we seeing the same old videos if videos like this happened every single day? The reason is they don't. They don't happen every day. These are rare things. Folks don't tweak at fast food places like this on a regular everyday basis, where everywhere you go, in the doctor's office, in the Walmart, the McDonald's, that doesn't happen. It couldn't happen. No, it doesn't happen. Even in the ghetto, the most ghetto place, that don't happen.
This is child abuse. This is abuse of a child. This child is learning. I don't even know how that woman, that behavior is so normative for her that she can, usually when people get upset, they begin to shake and their nerves kind of, she was calm enough to keep her arm around the baby and still push all of that and say all that crazy nonsense while having her arm. So she's training him that this is the manner in which he now needs to grow up in. So she's basically training him to eventually be in jail. That's where you'll end up seeing this young man if someone doesn't intervene, because he'll know that if he has an issue or a challenge, that the kind of disruptive, violent behavior that she displayed was normative. And unfortunately, Anton is correct. You see this more times than not. You see it in the cultural aspect of the marijuana smoke that you smell when you're going through the city. You can go to a mall. You can go to a grocery store and walk the aisles, and people are high all the time, constantly on marijuana. And again, I know that's supposed to subdue them and calm them and all of that. I get all of that. But what I'm saying is, it's the kind of behavior, it's the behavioral pattern that is far more normal than the vast majority of us want to admit. And all that video did was put it on display for more people to see and interact with and see the problems that are part of that community.
What do you mean by subdue them and calm them? Calm who?
I mean, normally getting high sedates you. That's the point.
Oh, I got you.
You know, the interesting thing about the whole marijuana and stuff like that is, statistically speaking, black people don't smoke marijuana more than white people do. Yet 100% of all of the criticisms of marijuana, whether y'all agree or disagree with marijuana at all, we can all agree that 100% of all of its criticism goes to black people. We don't smoke it or sell it any more than anybody else does, but we get 100% of the flack for marijuana. Okay, just keep that in mind. Plus, if we want to talk about drugs, They ain't got no room to criticize on no drugs, because they be doing stuff black people don't do at all. They be doing wild stuff. I'm talking about from meth and fentanyl and all of that stuff. They be doing stuff we don't touch. Talking about some marijuana.
Yeah, he's saying that's the argument.
We just need to not spare the rod and spoil the child. Like we need to bring back a lot of the things, prayer in schools, remove women from the pulpits. We just need, it's a lot of correction. First of all, I just believe that we speak into a group of people that's not going to change. You're not going to fix this current generation of people. The boomers ruined it. The millennials came right behind them and capitalized off of it, and they sold their own communities out. We sold drugs to the people in our communities. We champion the worst things for us, especially when it comes to the things that we celebrate in our music. It didn't influence us and how we move today. And our leader, we don't have any leaders anymore. We don't have anybody that we look up to. We call the people that are best and conducive for our lives sellouts, and we champion Future and Nick Cannon and Umar Johnson. So, when we really start to have these real conversations, I will tell you that if you want to focus on fixing anything, you just got to completely remove the people that exist and that are adults today. It's going to have to start with people that are much younger, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's it. Anybody that's 12 and up, it's too late. You may be able to save some of them. You can't save any more than that. It may be a few in there. You speak to the minority, not the majority.
But
we address the problems.
I'm going to.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's true. My only question to Anton is, the leaders of your homeland, who are they? While you're criticizing our leaders, and notice how they're always talking about black people, and they cherry pick people who are not praised. There are a lot of black people who might listen to Future's music as an artist and like Future as a rapper. They're not black people who look at Future as some type of icon who needs to be lionized in black society. Black people do not do that with Future or really any rapper. The closest you're going to get to a rapper who is like literally like lionized, I've seen, the absolute closest you probably are going to get is Tupac. That's Tupac is pretty much at the top of the like pedestal of black rappers in the black community as far as respect is concerned. Now there are some other people who might favor like maybe Nas or somebody else like that, but as far as black people like lionizing a rapper, you really ain't getting too much higher than Tupac, and it's really Tupac alone. It's not like we not lionize. That goes with the whole we lionizing Future and King Von and 21 Savage, and no, we're not really doing that. No, we might like them as an artist, or there might be black people who like their music, but no, they're not lionized. Now I want to give you this. Notice how they'll say Future and who we say Nick Cannon, and then Umar Johnson. Okay, so maybe him and Umar have a beef or something, right? Okay. Notice how he's not talking about actual black people that we do lionize, actual black people that we do mimic and learn from. Notice that he's not going to bring up Malcolm X. He's not going to bring up Dr. King. He's not going to bring up Rosa Parks. He's not going to bring up Ida B. Wells or Harriet Tubman. He's not going to bring up Fred Hampton or Huey Newton. He's not going to bring up black people who we actually really, really do like lionize. If there were people that we really do lionize and mimic and learn from and try to act like, it would be those people. Well, there are, of course, more names, of course, but it would be people like them. But notice, no matter how much I mean, you got screenshots and murals and all of that stuff of those people. Those are people that you can go into a black restaurant and you can see hanging up on the wall. But yet, he doesn't mention that. Yet he mentions Future. Somebody who, when you go to a black restaurant, you don't see pictures of Future up on the wall. You do see pictures of Dr. King, though. You do see pictures of Malcolm X, though. You do see pictures of the Black Panther Party, though. Okay. But of course, so this is this unrealistic way of saying this degeneracy is worshipped and protected in the community, which is not.
supplement what you said. I agree with a lot of what you said there, Anton. I'm gonna.
And then here Boyce goes. I agree with a lot of what you said, Anton.
Add in a piece to this in the sense, not even a disagreement, but I'm going to say that I do believe we have leaders in the sense that every household, there are many millions of households where there are leaders in the household. There are men and women who are leading their lives with dignity, who are pursuing education, who work hard every day, who are good people, who are raising their children the right way. The biggest challenge that we have is that the cartoonish stuff is what rises to the top. That's what gets promoted. Earlier, you mentioned Jasmine Crockett, for example. I don't have any problem with her, because she's a Democrat, but I don't like the type of Democrat she is, and I don't like the fact that the white Democrats celebrate her ghetto behavior. I don't think the minstrel show is necessary, but people love that. They love to see a black woman popping her neck and just sort of engaging
throwing the butterfly eyelashes, the weave.
Right. I don't identify with any of that because the women I know are solid women who don't even do any of that shit. Right. So I think at the end of the day, the challenge that we have is we got to lead ourselves. We have leaders out here. We have men. You and I don't agree on a lot of stuff, but I see how you have led your family. I see how you know who you are. You know what you believe in. Well, you are a leader. And lots of people.
He needs to go back and lead his homeland. That's what he needs to do. So we don't need leaders like him. Why don't you go back and lead your homeland to prosperity and then come back and tell us how you did that? Maybe we can listen to you then. You need to go back to your homeland and lead them. We don't need your leadership over here. You're going to flee your homeland and talk about how we don't got no leaders. Where are y'all leaders? Oh, yeah, y'all bouncing out your homeland. How? Yeah, okay. Like we're going to take some leadership advice from a damn fleer. Okay.
People see that, right? I lead in my space. I think that we have more in common than we have separate, even though you and I could probably fight it out all day about different things. But at the end of the day, we fight it out because we're leaders in our own way. Pastor Virgil is a leader. Why aren't we seeing more of him in the media, right? So my point is to say that that's the issue. They portray black men as being one type of man. They portray the black woman as one type of woman, and we are diverse. The people I know who have let go of all the politics, let go of the media, don't let social media run your household, those people are doing well. Their families are strong. They are economically prosperous. Their kids are educated. They ain't going to jail. They ain't getting shot by the cops. They are doing just fine. And that's the narrative that does not get told in the media. And that's the one that I think we should celebrate the most.
Shamika, I want you to hop back in here and.
Yeah, I thought Boyce was going to hold it down, but man. Okay.
And just answer my question. I don't think that video is normal. I do think it's extreme. I think there are lesser versions of that behavior that are just as damaging. I think that one, though, is just like an extreme example. But black women have that in them, they've been trained and programmed to believe they need a little bit, some percentage of that I'll get in someone's face and curse them out and blah, blah, blah. And that's part of the problem. That's why they're raising kids without a man, and they're training up young boys to react very emotionally rather than logically. Anyway, I wanted your thoughts on, is this the norm? Do you agree with Anton, or do you side more in the middle, or with Boyce that, hey, that's not normal?
I do think it is normal. It's becoming very normal. When I myself can go to the store right now and see something similar to this, that I have to say it is becoming more normalized. There are a lot of these type of women out here just running amok. And I do agree with you when you say that this is how she's going to raise her son. He's going to be very feminine because he's not going to have any type of conflict resolution skills. They're going to be very feminine, and he's not going to know how to actually resolve conflict, because his only example is what we see now, this woman being very emotional and illogical and just acting like a untamed gorilla.
She's acting like an untamed gorilla. It's a very interesting thing to call a fellow black. Okay, an untamed gorilla. That's a very interesting thing to say. All right. And notice, like I said, notice how in order to demonize the community, you have to take the most extreme examples and then try to embellish it and make it seem like this is something that we see on a regular basis. Okay, she's acting like a gorilla. That's an interesting little dog whistle she threw out there.
what bothers me though is if I go into the high schools, this is what we see. When I was in high school, we saw a lot of Thelmas from Good Times or Denise from the Cosby Show. Now you go into high schools, it's full of Cardi B's. It's full of Meg the Stallions. These girls are constantly walking around in wigs and eyelashes, being loud. They talk back to the students, to the teachers. As someone who used to work in the school, and my mother actually still works at a high school, this is unfortunately what we see from these young girls and their mothers, which normally are my generation, Generation X, promote it. Because instead of actually growing up and being grown women and saying, let me lead the younger generation and teach them how to be old, we have so many in my generation still think they're young, still in competition with the 20-year-olds, still walking around twerking. I saw a video just yesterday where a young lady was clapping her behind in front of what looked like her grandmother. And instead of her grandmother correcting her, she stood up and started clapping, trying to do the same thing on video. I've never seen that from my grandmother, never seen that from my great-grandmother, but this is what we're doing now, and we're thinking it's okay and it's cool. So I do think, unfortunately, that it's more than we're willing to admit. I need to move where Boise is, but honestly, even if I moved, there are people that are in my phone right now that I know for a fact at least one has trashed a restaurant because she couldn't control her emotions.
I'm not lying to you guys when I tell you this. Personally, me, I do not know one single black person who has ever trashed a restaurant because they couldn't control their emotion. I don't know one single black person who's ever done that, let alone them being in my phone. Who is on your phone that that you just kick it with and you just cool with, and they just trash their emotion? They just so uncontrollable with their emotions. They have such bad discipline that they've trashed restaurants. Oh yeah, I know a few of them. You know what I'm saying? They're all up in my phone. No, you don't, because black people don't be doing that. And this is them embellishing on extreme behavior. Oh, there's black people all the time doing all this thing. Okay, you don't. Black people ain't out here trashing restaurants on a daily basis, and you probably don't know none. Okay, all right. So this is black fatigue, right? And there's white people are sick of this black fatigue. That's interesting to say. It's a very interesting term. So, I think it's only fair. It's only fair if we're going to talk about black fatigue. It's also fair we also talk about the other side of that, and we also talk about white fatigue. Don't you think? Don't you think that's fair for us to also talk about white fatigue? Now, that woman at the restaurant was completely unjustified for what she did. I don't think it's excusable whatsoever for a woman to be sitting up there acting this way at a restaurant. That's not right. That's not right. So I want to bring up this video real quick. This video, there's no audio to it. This is a white woman, overweight white woman, tearing up a KFC. Okay, that's one video of white fatigue. Should this behavior not be called out? Should this behavior not be condemned? Why do we as black people have to put up with this degenerate, uncivilized behavior? I bet she's a single mom. I could just tell. I can tell. They have a look to them. I can tell, and that's probably a wig too. She's out of shape. Oh my goodness. She's probably trying to use her food stamps to get chicken. That's probably what she's trying to do. It's just so it's so terrible. It's just absolutely so terrible. Okay. It's trash. It's just trash behavior that we need to condemn in society. Also, them fighting each other. Now, all of the beef and all that stuff that she says goes on at Walmart and things like that. She says there's a whole bunch of beefing going on at Walmart. Let's look at Walmart. Let's take a look at Walmart. See what Walmart got going on. Okay, let's do that real quick.
What you want this? You want this?
Oh no, oh no. Oh, the humanity. Oh, is that a oh my God. No, not a baby. Is that a child? What is the child going to where's the child's father? Where is the child's father? He's probably being raised by a single mom. Oh my God. And they probably weren't married. He's probably a little bastard. I can't believe that. Where's the child's father?
Johnny, punch her in her fucking face. Come on, man. Punch her.
Is she telling her child to punch this woman in the face? This is a woman who's telling her child to jump into her fight at Walmart and punch another grown woman in the face. Why is she promoting this degenerate, criminalistic, thuggish behavior at the store? I would never. You would never see this in Chicago. You just wouldn't. I don't know where this is. Why is she doing this? This is so uncivilized. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, this man.
This is white trash at its finest.
I agree with that.
He's punching her.
Why is nobody coming to break it up? Oh, and now the baby's into it. Oh, the baby, not the baby, not the baby. He's gonna grow up.
It's gonna take a woman to get
I can already tell. He's gonna grow up to be a degenerate thug. His mother is raising him to be that. His mother is raising him to be exactly that. Right there, we see it. Where is his father? That's what I need to know. I need to know where his father is. Why? And this does not get discussed enough. White people don't talk about this type of behavior enough. I have never seen a panel of white people talking about this type of behavior from other white people. They should be the first ones condemning this degenerate behavior, yet we never see them. Where is the accountability? Where is it? Okay. It gets worse, y'all. It gets worse. Oh no. He is picking up. I don't even want to show the rest. I don't want to show the rest. He is picking up soap and he is hitting this girl in the head with soap because he understands that that's their culture and that's their culture's kryptonite, soap. He understands that in their culture, they don't really like soap. So he's picking up the ultimate weapon, a bottle of soap, and he's hitting her in the head with soap because her head has not touched soap in such a long time. How does he know that? That is just so monstrous. He is using the ultimate anti-white weapon, soap, to beat them. That's not okay. That is not okay. That's not okay. Where are we? When are we as a society going to be brave enough and courageous enough to call this type of degenerate behavior out? It's sickening. It's maddening. Family, it's maddening. I'm going to show you another thing. Look at this fight. Oh my, I just saw this a few minutes ago. They just graduated. They probably didn't graduate. It was probably, you know what it probably was? It was probably affirmative action. All of them in their cap and gowns, they're still in their cap and gowns scrapping. They probably graduated from affirmative action. It's probably why they had to graduate, because of affirmative action. These are the high IQ people. They probably don't have high IQs. This is probably an affirmative action DEI graduation. This is a DEI graduation from a bunch of low IQ trash, trailer park trash. This is what it is. This is what it is. Oh my God, look at it. Oh, the humanity. In their cap and gown, do you see this white on white crime that they don't talk about? When are we going to do this? Oh my goodness. She's damn near fighting stripping at the same time. This is white trash at its finest. I'm having white fatigue. I'm having white fatigue with these videos right here. This is terrible. Where is the accountability? Who is raising the children? What are the children going to grow up and start doing? I can show you what the children are going to grow up and start doing. Hold on. I want you to look at this video. This is a video of two young white kids with real pistols shooting at the police. And the police, of course, de-escalate without harming them. But this is white culture.
40. Drop it! Drop it! Drop it, son! Go ahead and put it down for me, okay?
If his face wasn't blurred, I might be reaching. But he kind of looks like the little kid at the Walmart. I don't know. Maybe this is a video of him the next week or something like that after his mother had taught him to fight other women. Maybe that's him. I don't know. But he kind of looks a little bit to me like that. Like the size and all that stuff looks to me like that. I don't know. Maybe because of the violence he saw his mother doing, maybe that's why he's deciding to shoot at the police. Who knows?
Well, you have to drop that and come talk to us, all right?
If there's a magazine inside the magazine well, but they're playing with the gun back and forth. The one in the blue is trying to take it from the one in the orange.
Put it down, baby. Just drop it, buddy. Put it down, babe. You're okay. Put it down.
And now the kid in the blue and green has a firearm.
I need you to put it down, baby.
Now, of course, they talk to him and they de-escalate. But they want to talk about black culture. They want to talk about black culture and how degenerate black people are and things like that. And I do think that there is time in society where we should speak out against degeneracy. We should absolutely speak out against degeneracy. I'm 100% for that. As a matter of fact, I am. So since we are collectively speaking out against degeneracy, I want you guys, if you guys have any small children, you might want to cover your children's ears, because it comes to a point where I have so much white fatigue. I'm just so tired. I'm just so fed up. I'm so tired of their culture. I'm so tired of their culture. We have to talk about it because nobody else is doing it. So if you have small children, put your children away, because we have to talk about their culture because it's just so degenerate. Have you guys seen this video? Have you seen this?
Reason number one, women in history have practiced.
Okay, let's just look at the prompt. Look at the prompt, y'all. Yes, you see it. I don't even have to read it. You see what it says. And the most disappointing thing is that with hundreds of you guys in the chat room, not a single one of you are surprised. You all are not surprised that you guys are seeing this video. You guys need to hide your children. If you have pets, you need to hide your pets too. And let's let her explain, because she's making a video with some points. Let's let her come on now.
Reason number one, women in history have practiced it. There have been documented cases of ancient Romans and Greeks practicing it for pleasure. Reason number two, dogs' tongues can get in very hard to reach places, and it can feel amazing. Reason number three, you cannot get pregnant. It is impossible for a dog to impregnate a human, meaning you can have sex 24/7, risk-free. Reason number four, you cannot get an STD, which is a huge thing nowadays. If you're allergic to dog sperm, that's the only way it can harm you. There was actually a case in, where was that? I think it was in Europe, of a woman dying from an allergic reaction. So that's just pretty much the only thing that can harm.
If you're allergic to dog sperm, can you imagine going into the hospital and trying to explain to the doctor why you're having an allergic reaction down there? And He asks you, have you been sexually active? And you have to say, yes, I have. With my canine. I've been sexually active with my canine. I'm not just letting my canine use their tongue. This is sperm from my dog. And I didn't know at the time that I was allergic to my dog's sperm. So can we do something about that? Okay. Well, you want to talk about our culture. All right. All right now. They got a very weird thing with pets, very disturbing. They say things like black people lack accountability. And we always try to find a way to justify our thugs. That's one thing that they say all the time, but they do it all of the time. There's the story that I've been keeping up with, where I'm going to explain to you, this is what they do all the time. They always find a way to dodge accountability. They always find a way to blame somebody else or to rationalize or justify somebody else doing it. Oh my God, he had mental illness. His dad didn't go to his baseball games. He was neglected as a kid. Oh, he was on drugs. It's always something. It's always some justification for them doing the most heinous acts whatsoever. It's always a pass. While they say we lack accountability, that's their community. How many of you guys know the story of the Menendez brothers? Okay. I want you guys to raise your hands in the chat room if you guys know the story of the Menendez brothers. And I'm going to explain it real quick. Okay. Some of you all might know that. I grew up hearing about the story of the Menendez brothers. So these are brothers who went around, or not went around, they plotted and they made a plan to buy shotguns and execute both their parents, their mom and their dad. All right. They were both legal adults in their sane mind. They premeditated a plan to execute both their parents. So they went out of state. They bought shotguns. They came back to the house where their parents are sitting there watching TV, and they completely unloaded 2 shotguns on their parents. And then they reloaded and continued firing on their parents' dead body. The police came there and said their parents weren't there. It was nothing but a puddle of blood and bones by the time they got there. They had called the police and said that somebody had broken the house and blew their parents away. The police quickly deduced that that was a lie. Now, what a lot of people are suspecting, and what the prosecutor said, is that their parents were going to write them out the will because their parents had money, and their father threatened to write them out the will. So before the father wrote them out the will, they said, okay, let's kill mom and dad before we get written out the will. So then by default, we get all their inheritance. So that's what they tried to do. When they got caught, they said, well, we did it because we were abused by our father sexually. We were sexually abused by our father. And our mom knew about it, but she didn't protect us. And we waited 10 years, and then we decided to, kill him with a shotgun and then lie about it. Oh, and they tried to lie. They tried to bribe the witnesses. They tried to hide evidence. They were caught dead to rights. Dead to rights. Yeah, they were caught. And this is their culture. All right. This is something that we see in their community that happens all the time. All the time. But, they hate accountability. So they've been coming up with the excuse of, yeah, I mean, I know we, went across the state so we can buy a shotgun and everything, because they thought that was going to cover their trails. And we premeditated blowing our parents away. and then we lied about it, tried to make sure that the police didn't know that that's what we did, because how can you, claim self-defense if you premeditated to blow your parents away and then lie on it so you can get their inheritance? Yeah, we did that, but it wasn't really our fault because we claimed that we were touched as children. But white supremacists, they hate accountability. So this is the news now.
Overnight on the Menendez brothers, the judge resentencing them to 50.
Now, originally they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was life in prison without the possibility of parole. So this is the news now.
Overnight on the Menendez brothers, the judge resentencing them to 50 years to life for the 1989 murders of their parents, which means they are eligible for parole. Chief National Correspondent Matt Gutman is in Los Angeles with the story, including exclusive reaction from Eric Menendez. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael. And for the Menendez brothers and their family, that resentencing was a vindication decades in the making. And we were there in court as yesterday's proceedings started to unfold faster than expected, and culminating with that stunning moment when the brothers addressed the court and their family. This morning, victory for the Menendez brothers.
The Menendez brothers.
Notice how the media is not condemning the brothers either. Just notice that. Notice how the media is not trying to make it seem like this is a tragedy of justice. Like when Bill Cosby was acquitted, they were Twitter was an outrage. Oh my God, it's a criminal out on the loose. Oh my God, this is terrible. They're making it seem like these people were proven innocent and these people were redeemed or something like that. Look at how this is the left-wing media trying to make it seem like these are victims who finally been vindicated.
Have done remarkable work, and today is a great day after 35 years.
The judge ruling that the brothers, who were serving sentences of life without the possibility of parole for murdering their parents in 1989, will be resentenced to 50 years to life, making them immediately eligible for parole. But it's a process that could take months or years. In the courtroom, the two brothers, now middle-aged men in prison blues, appearing on a video link side by side. 5 witnesses testifying to the brothers' character and remorse and the alleged sexual abuse they faced by their father. After the judge announced he would resentence them, the brothers reading statements, Lyle putting on glasses, craning forward, telling the judge, "I killed my mom and dad. I give no excuses. I do not blame my parents. I was a 21-year-old who thought I could fix what I could not fix."
What? What type of excuse is that? How do you start a sentence with, "I killed my mom and my dad. I give no excuses." Underline, I give no excuses. I do not blame my parents. And then follow that up with, "I was 21 years old who thought I could fix what I could not fix." That sounds to me like a damn excuse. I was 21 years old. Yeah, you're a grown adult. You're a grown up. Oh, well, I mean, I killed my mom and my dad, and, it was wrong. But mind you, I was only 21 years old. And what 21-year-old doesn't plot with their sibling to murder their parents? I don't know. Every other 21-year-old has thought about it at least once or twice. I was 21. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it was. I was only 21 years old and thought I could fix what I could not fix. What were you trying to fix by taking a shotgun and blowing your parents away at 21 years old? Were you trying to fix the fact that they were going to write you out the inheritance? That's what you were trying to fix? Where is the accountability that they claim that we in the Black community don't have? Where's that accountability? Because this doesn't sound like you're being accountable. It sounds like, yeah, you're admitting to it, but then you're trying to rationalize it. Then you're trying to justify it. Well, I was only 21 years old. I mean, what 21-year-old doesn't do that? I mean, every 21-year-old I know has at least killed one parent. Okay.
Eric telling the court, "My actions were criminal, selfish, and cowardly." He offered no excuses, saying, "I fired all 5 rounds at my parents and went to reload." Outside the court, the family arm in arm, and Eric's wife Tammy embracing the brother's defense attorney as family members rejoiced.
I'm really... No, look at how the media is framing this. As they're literally making it seem like these are heroes coming back from war. They're sitting up there posting. I don't want y'all to ever talk about how black people worship criminals and how black people praise the... I don't want y'all to ever do that, because y'all not giving these people the same treatment y'all give a black... If y'all feel a black person did something wrong, y'all want to have that black person do the walk of shame, and no black person should ever associate with them, and every black person should be consistently condemning them and consistently vilifying them. Every single black person should do that for eternity. Yet these people, this dude said, yeah, I shot all 5 rounds and then went to reload. I emptied a clip on my mom and dad and then reloaded for no reason, just to do it. And then next thing you know, they're going to show you a picture of 2 people hugging each other. Hold on, let me take... Yeah, okay.
As family
this picture, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Like, these are some great people coming home. Like, this is some type of heroic moment and victory for the family. And notice how simple, just the tone that you're hearing from the media. And there's families that are glad they are coming home. Are you serious? But they try to say that we sit up there and promote degeneracy.
Members rejoiced.
I'm really, I'm still processing.
And in an exclusive statement to ABC News, Eric saying, "I'm deeply grateful for the courageous judge and his belief in Lyle and me. I will not let him down." But not with the family. Matriarch Terry Baralt, the brother's aunt, has stage 4 cancer.
Describe to me the exact words your mother said when you told her 50 to life, they have a chance of parole.
She said, "Thank you, honey."
Her daughter telling us Terry hoping to see her nephews before she dies.
Well, she didn't. She didn't. Wound up dying. That's just, it is what it is. My only question is, where is the accountability? Where's the accountability? They always want to talk about some rappers. I don't know a single rapper who's done what they've done. I don't know a single rapper who's done what they've done, even close to it. And yet, the rappers we get nowadays, they're facing RICO charges. It's one single rapper who will face a whole RICO charge, one single black celebrity who will face a whole RICO charge. The Menendez brothers admitted to unloading a shotgun on their parents who are sitting down, elderly, watching TV, and they both, it wasn't just one gun, it was 2 shotguns, and they both unloaded and then reloaded and then unloaded again on their parents, talking about, I thank the judge for his bravery of letting us out. And they're being paraded like apparently the criminal justice system did them wrong. Let them tell it. They were the victims of being in prison for unloading and turning their parents' bodies into a puddle of blood and bones. And yet you got people crying like these are some type of heroes coming back from war. Where's the accountability? Where's the, because y'all say that we promote degeneracy and we praise criminals and we praise the thugs. All I saw in that whole news clip was them praising the Menendez brothers. That's all I've seen. Where are people from that community going to condemn that part of their culture? When is that going to happen? Because this stuff gives me white fatigue. That's what I get from that. See, this is why the whole term of black fatigue is not really taking off the way they wanted to, because there are too many cases like the Menendez brothers out there for them to sit up there and put themselves on this artificial moral pedestal and try to demonize our community as if they have some type of moral superiority and authority to do so. You can't talk about, yeah, we got a demon because there was this one woman at Walmart. Nah, you got to get to your Menendez brothers first. Because we don't have that in our culture. Yeah, we don't do that in our culture. Y'all get, and not just the Menendez brothers, y'all got several cases just like that. Where y'all be trying to give them there was mental health and they didn't know any better. And he was only 21. He was only 21 years old. I mean, of course, like he's some type of child. And this is something that they always do when it comes to accountability. They try to age down a grown white man. Oh, without 21 is pretty much a baby. No accountability, none. This is why the whole black fatigue thing, that's not working. It's not going to work. It's not going to stick. It's not going to land, because when you look at it and you compare apples to apples, y'all are the biggest degenerates in society. Y'all cause the most problems in society. The problems that you cause are way more detrimental and way more severe than the problems that you guys have to cherry pick and resurface old videos to highlight and make some type of point and narrative of us causing. Because for every single video of a black woman tearing up some type of fast food place, we can find the same video of them doing that. For every single little fight you see in public of black people doing that, you can find a thing of white people doing the same thing. There's not a single thing that you can find in the black community that you quote unquote call ghetto or degenerate or whatever the case is that you cannot also find in the white community. Now, their problem is that there is a lot of things that you can find in the white community that you can't really find in the black community. Like, of course, the Menendez brothers. I'm not talking about guns and shooting and all of that. I'm not necessarily saying that. Yeah, you can find that in pretty much every community, but there's only a certain community that has a whole bunch of the Menendez brothers type of people out there actually being a menace to society. You send up there, you gotta search and dig and scrape to find a black woman throwing over some damn cookies at Wendy's. We don't gotta search and scrape to find some Menendez brother. We don't gotta do that. So with videos like this and points like this and cases like this, and the fact that this is not only condemned, this is also praised. These brothers are being praised like they've been done wrong in society. Like these are some type of heroes of justice in society. They do this stuff all the time. So because you have so many videos of this, because you got a damn mass shooter every other month, they don't have the authority. They don't have the moral authority to condemn anybody. They don't have the authority to sit up there. They don't have the placement to sit up there and be all like, oh, we're just so tired of seeing all of this stuff. It's just so exhausting. They can't do that. It's all of the ghetto behavior and the violence and all that stuff. And why do you guys do that? Oh, those, yeah, I guess they did kill their parents, I guess, but they were only 21. All right. Can you imagine a black person committing a crime, not even as heinous as that? A black person joining a gang, committing a crime, killing somebody, not their parents, but somebody, and then saying, I was only 21. No, you couldn't do that. And you would have a whole bunch of people being all like, that's no excuse for what you did. That was terrible. Yet these people can unload a shotgun in their mama's head and talk about, well, I was only 21 years old, so I really didn't know what I was doing. Well, you got to understand, they say the brain doesn't really mature all the way till 25. So really, he didn't really know what he was doing. That's their culture. This is their culture. Because they don't condemn this. They're not acting like this is wrong. You don't see, where's the outrage? All these are the people who claim that they're about law and order and accountability and all of this stuff. Where's the outrage? There should be outrage. There should be protest and outrage and people making videos talking about the lack of accountability and how we've gone too. Hold on. Where's all the conservative? Oh, we're too soft on crime. Where's that at? Where's the soft on crime narrative at now? I want to know where we're too soft on crime and you're letting these criminals, because when black people get out of jail, you're letting criminals on the streets. That's what they say. Oh, you're too soft on them. You're letting criminals back on the street. Okay, well, the Menendez brothers come out. Well, I guess. Come on now. They were only kids. Where's the soft on crime folk at? Where's the law and order folk at? Okay. Where's this accountability that they claim that we don't have that they have? Where's that at? I don't want to hear nothing about no black accountability. I don't want to hear nothing about no black fatigue. Not in that sense, not in that context. I don't want to hear nothing about that ever, period. Coming from them. They are the last to speak on that. Let me get to these super chats, y'all. Let me get to the super chats. Okay. Freedman's Network says the new female white bootlicker is April Chapman. ONG Afro, she's next level. Is that, I think that's the woman that April Chapman. That, I think that's that white lady. I know her name is April. So I don't know who. No, that's not. If she's the white female bootlicker. I gotta look up who April. Who are you referring to? I think he's referring to. You might be referring to this lady right here because I know her first name is April. But we'll. I guess you'll be in the comments. If you're in the comments, you can let me know exactly. He continues to say, another super chat. Jason Whitlock was birthed by droopy dog. Yeah, damn, that's mean, but that's probably true. He looks like a mutt. He looks ugly as hell. He don't look just like old ugly. He looked like he was a young ugly man. He looked like he just been ugly from start to finish. You can tell when people when they get older, they don't really look as good. But then you can tell when you look at somebody, you be all like, no, you just been ugly. You just been ugly. You didn't grow into being ugly. You've been ugly from start to finish. From the cradle to the grave, you just been ugly. And that's how Jason Whitlock looked. Sadaiku says FBA are, quote, white fatigued. The F out. Yes, we are. 254 years of chattel slavery, 99 years of neo-slavery, sharecropping, convict leasing, Jim Crow, and black codes. That's true. And then stuff we still deal with today. We are white fatigued. We are exhausted. We are so fed up with them. Like it's unbearable. Then Ancestral Leader says, I appreciate the super chat, says the usual suspects at it again. Eurasian culture right here. Yeah, that's their culture. That's their culture. That is, yes, indeed. I don't want to mispronounce the name. Andreage says Karen's got a whole nickname for their foolishness, but this panel is upset about black fatigue. F out of here. Whitlock. Yeah, very true. Another thing, you will never, even with the quote unquote white liberals, you will never, ever, ever see a panel of white people getting on the internet to condemn white culture. You will never, ever will you see that. Even I'm talking about the most progressive white liberals, or you will never see them getting up here and saying, man, white people, we just don't do right. You don't see that. If a white person calls out another white person, they won't call it out for being white. They will say, well, that's conservative, or that's liberal, or that's Democrat, or that's Republican. They'll say that. But you got black people like, we are home, worst enemy. FBA Justice says, allergic to fetal spunk. Yeah, she was allergic to dog sperm. That's a terrible way to find that out. Imagine telling your parents. This is why their birth rates are down. Now, that's probably a good point. The good theory. The degeneracy has gone to the dogs. She literally said, she was like listing it off, like she wrote it down. Another reason is dogs can get you pregnant. Trust me, I know. We've tried. Like, really? Okay. How did you find that out? That I don't even want to know. Never mind. I don't even want to know how you found out dogs can't get humans pregnant. I don't want to know how you found that out. FBA Justice says again, what is it we're seeing from the from those people, family? It is, hold on, let me make this bigger. It is true about them. Anything goes, no matter what the crime. Yeah, that's true. Anything goes. There's always some type of justification for it. He says, again, he says, why can I not look at this? So white supremacy prides itself on how much degenerate injustice it can flaunt before the world. It does. And it prides itself on the fact that nobody can hold them accountable. It prides themselves that they can get away with all of this crime with absolute impunity. It loves it. It feeds off it. It needs it. Freedman's Network says, Afro, you cooking tonight, bro? I thank you. Thank you, brother. And I appreciate your support. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. My brother Hurricane sends a super sticker. And then Freedman's Network again says, I told you that's how Jason Whitlock was born. Is he saying, is he?
Reason number one, women in history have practiced it. There have been documentations of ancient Romans and
Jason Whitlock? Are these Jason Whitlock's parents? I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because it's not right to say. It's not right to say. I don't want to say it. But he do take after his daddy. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say it, so I didn't say it. I didn't say he take after his daddy. But if it was his daddy, he do take after his daddy. I'm not saying that is his dad. But I'm saying if it was his dad, he looked like his dad. That's all I'm saying. Not that it is, but I can kind of see it. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to my brother Muhammad for the cash app. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. But you want to talk about some black fatigue, which is a term y'all stole. Y'all stole the term black fatigue. You want to talk about black fatigue? Before you talk about any fatigue, y'all need to get your own community straight. Because y'all letting these people back out. Y'all don't know what type of havoc they're going to wreak in the community. Yeah, y'all need to get your own community straight before y'all talk about some black fatigue. That's why y'all talking point ain't really gonna work that well. It's really not. It's not gonna take off because y'all are hypocrites. But mainly because us as Foundation Black Americans don't care what y'all think no more. The generation of y'all better behave around white people. Y'all don't want white people to think we like this. Y'all, the narrative and the behavior that black people used to have of y'all better act straight around white folk. Now y'all better act right around white folk. The whole we got to act a certain way so white people won't judge us and white people will approve of us. We constantly got to be seeking white approval. That's been over with. Y'all just starting to learn that. That's what black fatigue, that's what they're saying. That's what that is. That's black people not caring for white approval. Okay? That's you guys, us not allowing you guys to feel like you guys are supreme and dominant. That's what they're really tired of. is they're really tired of black people not lowering ourselves and making ourselves seem smaller and acquiescing to the great, glorious presence of white people. We ain't on that. We not on that where when a white person come up, you sit up straight and you try to speak in the most articulate white version you can. Hello, Mr. Johnson. How are you today? Yeah, we're not on that no more. We're not doing that. We're not on that no more. We don't care what you think. That's why the whole black fatigue ain't what, oh, but white people are sick and tired. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. How many of y'all gonna lose sleep because white people are sick of black people? Like they've always tolerated us. We don't. First off, I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot of y'all, maybe including myself. I'm not gonna say it because we on YouTube, but maybe include myself. It's a lot of us who gonna sleep a little bit better at night. Our head is gonna sink into the pillow a little bit better at night. We're just gonna get a better night's rest, knowing that they're upset. I just think that a lot of us will. Knowing that these white supremacists are upset, to me, I feel like it's like it makes the night sleep a lot better. You just get a lot more comfort and relaxation, knowing that the world is starting to become a better place. When I do it, it's like I sleep like a baby when I do. It's just thinking about it, it soothes me and it helps me go to sleep. And not only do I go to sleep faster, I wake up feeling so refreshed, and I don't even hit my alarm to snooze. I wake up before the alarm. I just wake up with so much energy and joy and love for the world. That's how I feel. So I want y'all to have more black fatigue because it make me sleep good. I sleep good. I don't know. I hope y'all do, because I know I sleep good. I sleep like a baby. I sleep like yeah, y'all get sick all y'all want to. I love it. I do. I love it. I need more of it. Talking about some black fatigue, Lord, please. Appreciate y'all, family. We've been on here for a pretty good minute, but we had a lot of game to chop up, and I appreciate every single last one of y'all for being with me. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate for y'all liking, subscribing, all of that stuff that you guys have been doing. I hope that you guys stay. I hope that you guys like this. I really do. If you guys have not gotten the notifications, it's important that you guys follow me on my various social media platforms. The link is in the description. That way you don't miss out on any notifications, because I always make sure before I go live or post a video that I post these things on my social media. The link is in the description. Also, very, very, very important that you guys hit that like button, that you guys smash that thumbs up button, whatever you want to call it. Y'all make sure y'all do that, and make sure, double check, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. All right, please do that. I would appreciate that. We've gotten tremendous growth in a very short amount of time, so let's keep the momentum going. Y'all hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. All right, so y'all don't get shadow banned and I don't get shadow banned. So y'all hit that notification bell. That would help out a lot, family. It really would. And I appreciate every single last one of y'all for doing that. Now, with that being said, black family, black fatigue, yeah, black fatigue is making you feel real good. It is. It is. If they want to use it, okay. It's really not going to work the way they wanted to. And it's not working the way they wanted to. Y'all can have the panels of tethers and bootlicks all y'all want to. That's not going to change anything, because none of them have influence over the community. None of their voices, and we've done a good job by canceling out their voices. Their voices don't really matter. Mine doesn't, yours does. I appreciate every single last one of you, family. Be one to every single last one of you, brothers and sisters. Thank you all for watching. Be one to y'all. Again, thank you all for watching. I tremendously appreciate that. We've been growing so much, so thank you guys sincerely. And y'all stay blessed.